Hello, and thank you for joining us for your ROH and TNA post-show. Not a ton to talk about on our end, to be honest, but the TNA side is going to have a lot to talk about. As announced earlier, there's going to be a continuing partnership with WWE. It sounds like a deeper partnership than has existed and for years to come. So Joel and Cresta are going to have all of the updates for you guys on that. But on the ROH side, a bit of a thinner episode, but we're here to talk about it. We're here through thick and thin with ROH. Sometimes we're there live at Hammerstein Ballroom, depending on the situation, but get in your super chats. No humper chats for this part of the show. I got to change that. I'm sure there's a way that I can get locked into our humper chats, but do leave a thumbs up on this video as well. It helps people find us in the algorithm. And if you haven't, we encourage you to be as cool as 123,000 other people and subscribe already. What are you waiting for? There's interviews and notifications to be had if you subscribe at Fightful here, but also Fightful Select. If you wanted to find out that Megan Bain was sniffing around backstage and that she was officially signed, FightfulSelect.com had you covered for that. And heck, FightfulSelect.com brings you the Fightful Awards. You can subscribe to Fightful Select and you can vote on those Fightful Awards. Voting, of course, concluded as we do have the award show this week. And we have our sponsors at NordVPN to thank. They are a present sponsor. And there's kind of never been a time that is better to actually get a VPN. And that's not like cheeky hard sell stuff. It is true. Between people just trying to hack everything you've got, between wanting to go to other countries for all of the different streaming services, between saving a ton of money on pay-per-views, that stuff pays for itself so fast. And out of all of the code Fightfuls that we have, I think you get the most savings with NordVPN. It's a ridiculous amount that you can save. So we are going to let Shawn Rostaff tell you all about it right now, but we are so thankful for our friends at NordVPN.
I've often talked about how much of a pay-per-view buyer I am. Take that any way you want it, but I'll tell you how I take it. NordVPN.com/Fightful. Fastest VPN on the planet, global server network, all that good stuff. That's great. But a big reason why I got NordVPN.com/Fightful is all the pay-per-views I buy, all the money we're spending. We're trying to control costs as a company, as a household. You can get those UFC pay-per-views at a fraction of the price you're paying here in America. Plus, you can get all kinds of great content that you wouldn't normally see thanks to those services as well. Shows that are on overseas services, things that you want to watch a little bit early so you get on that UK time and watch them. Being able to change the interfaces of things like the WWE Network. Maybe you don't like Peacock, anything like that. NordVPN.com/Fightful gives you that ability while having the fastest VPN on the planet. Also, you just get so much more out of your internet experience with NordVPN.com/Fightful. Subscribe to Fight and AEW Plus. Watch AEW without commercials. Watch bare knuckle boxing. Watch UFC pay-per-views, boxing pay-per-views at the rates they're getting over in the UK. Change your virtual location with just one click. And hey, if you need any help using it, they got that 24/7 tech support. NordVPN.com/Fightful.
Save TikTok too. A very, very good point. I forgot to mention that one. Yeah, if TikTok is going to get banned here, but not other countries, well, you can just travel on over to other countries. And as I told SP3, that ad read, not at all timed with anything that I had baking in the oven. Definitely not a situation where I just got up, ran, pulled my vegan blondies, which came out great, out of the oven. Very excited for those, but let's get into this episode of ROH. Just about 2,000 of you guys watching across platforms right now. We thank you so much for that. This show and all of our shows are truly run on your support. So if there's anything you want to talk about, please get in your super chats and let us know. But SP3, kind of a thin episode. I suspect that the weather of the collision tapings that this was in line with probably played a part in it, but man, they didn't even know which episode they were on. They didn't know if they were on episode 99, 100. It felt like the editing was all sorts of off on this, but hey, you know what? We saw the Dark Order versus Shane Taylor Promotions again, so that was fresh and new.
You know, it's not like we haven't seen that a bunch of times, like just
No.
a couple of weeks ago in the Hammerstein Ballroom, or we saw Alex Reynolds versus Lee Moriarty. We saw tag team matches. We saw multi-man matches. You know, we just never seen it before.
Many permutations of this, but
And that mismatched team, like you had one half of SAP, one half of the Iron Savages teaming up with the Dark Order.
yeah, it was an amalgamation. Fitter tonight for sure, but let's actually start by talking about Athena, because we got an update from her. It was just a video package encapsulating the work that she's done in Japan, and we kind of talked about this last week already, but it was very cool to see some of the highlights actually presented on ROH, because she looked great. Last week, you pointed out that her conditioning has improved, and it's just letting her move and effing fly around the ring in a way that I don't think she has before. Really, really impressive stuff. And the highlights we got with and against Tekla and everything like that. So it was just kind of an encapsulation that says, this is where our champion has been. It's very funny because we don't get that. What's everybody else's excuse? They're just not on the show. But
they should be like Chris Jericho's currently at a bodega in Manhattan.
They should.
That he thinks is in Queens.
Yeah. He's oh, what are some good ones that we can play with? He is actually
he's at a baseball game. He's at Yankee Stadium, but it's actually Shea Stadium.
Yeah. There's perfect ones there. He thinks he's seen the Islanders. He's at Madison Square Garden. But I think
he thinks he's at a Knicks game. It's the New York Liberty. It's the summer.
Yeah. I love it. This is a shuffleboard league in Astoria. What are you doing? He went out to Astoria for great Italian food instead of Greek food. There's so many. Endless.
And you got the perfect two people to talk about with me and you.
I understood that reference as the meme goes, SP3.
Going to the penthouse in Harlem.
That was the best one.
Yes.
That was for sure the best one. But it is not lost on me out of all the criticisms and complaints that we have, which are earned, and there are many. Like, the ROH women's title was represented in Japan. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty special thing, and that is not something that this brand would have been able to stake their claim on a few years ago. So I do always try and appreciate and pause at those things, because you're a women's wrestling fan. I'm a women's wrestling fan. This was not a breeding ground for great women's wrestling in its entirety before Tony Khan. So it seemed like she was so visibly moved by this. And that made me really happy, because she had even said, like, I've been all around the world, right? But I've never gotten to come here. I've never gotten to work here and do this. And it's obviously hallowed ground for wrestling. And her and Tekla, man, like, really good chemistry. I don't follow the Stardom beat closely, but what I've seen of Tekla blows me away. And it feels like she might be kind of in like that next up conversation as far as people that I think would translate extremely well to America. But any other thoughts that you wanted to give on this Athena update, or any of the significance of what we got from it?
Well, I still have to go out of my way to watch the matchup, but I heard good things about it. I did see the clip of the Kurgan Hall fans chanting Athena's name, which is a big deal. I say, like, as a kid that grew up, like we aforementioned, grew up in New York City, I would say Kurgan Hall is the greatest place for professional wrestling. Even more than Hammerstein, even more than Madison Square Garden, two places I've been at nauseum throughout my lifetime.
Oh, why don't you just marry Hammerstein Ballroom SP3? Why don't you?
I will say the one place I want to go see professional wrestling is Kurgan Hall. It's just a hallowed hall. It's had so many great professional wrestling matches, and it's the crowd, the way the crowd sounds in Kurgan Hall. When you get a hot matchup in Kurgan Hall, it's just different. It's different from everything else. So I'm looking forward to watching that matchup. I think it is a big deal that the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship was defended over there. The reception that Athena got makes me believe that it won't be the last time that she visits Stardom and goes over to Japan, probably throughout 2025. I expect her to make another visit sometime throughout the next calendar year. And I agree with you. Tekla is the type of person that really kind of took a step up when they had the kind of what I call the mini mass exodus. Shout outs to Fightful, who did a great video on the exodus of 2016. I still get scars from that as a New Japan fan. You know,
yeah.
I saw the graphic for that. I was like, oh my God.
No.
I remember it too well. But Stardom had their own exodus with Rossi leaving and Marigold starting up, and they brought over the Julias, the Utami Hayashishita. So they brought over all the top talent from over there. So a lot of people had to take a step up. Starlight Kid did that. Azumi did that. And now we're seeing Tekla kind of be the next person up who's doing that. So I'm hoping that she furthers her progression throughout the rest of the year. So I'm interested in seeing that as well. And I like the fact that we got that highlighted on this show, because I think that we need more. We need more of, if we have an AEW star over in Stardom, if we have them over in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, AEW, we need to highlight that on the program and say how much of a big deal it is. I think that AEW has done a better job at that throughout the last couple of weeks to start off 2025.
I agree. They even, and I know this is like earth-shattering, but they even promoted a big match and the tickets that were going on sale to go see that big match on Dynamite, which was refreshing to see, despite that show being its own mini identity crisis. It felt like yesterday, but I do think this is significant. I am interested to your thoughts of who do you think is up next? Like, I feel like the handwriting is still on the wall for, it's got to be Billy still. If she's being reabsorbed back into this, it's got to be a third time's the charm thing, I think. What do we do until then? When is that? What are we doing? Like, who is next for Athena? Is that someone that isn't in Ring of Honor right now? Are there people in this current division that you want to see step up to Athena? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that the next person to challenge Athena is going to be everyone's favorite title challenger, because she can't get a shot at the AEW Women's World Championship. She's already gotten a shot at the TBS Championship. There's only one other title in this AEW Ring of Honor multiverse to get a shot at. Anna Jay is coming to Ring of Honor, and she's getting a shot at Athena.
It is unfortunate that there are not title adjacent stories. I think there were a lot of people who were frustrated by the Casino Gauntlet being 13 minutes long and so few women. I am also frustrated by the fact that it didn't really set up any title adjacent stories. Chris and Willow worked together, which was interesting. You had the Julia thing going on a little bit more with Jamie Hayter.
I think they didn't do the best job, but they did some storytelling, because the Julia and Jamie Hayter stuff, I thought Megan Bain stood out and really had a breakout with her debut.
Mariah May killed me on commentary.
Oh, Mariah May, she sold the debut perfectly. She was like, I was in Stardom and she came to Stardom, so I left there. I was like, that put her over.
She's not signed. Is she even eligible for this? But I guess great. I just mean
I like the exchanges between her and Statlander. I think that may have set something up as well.
That's true. That there could be something really fun. I think Megan Bain could also fit in as a fun heater for Mercedes. So her being like contentious with Chris could be something that's fun. I don't know what the hell happened to Camille, but whatever.
Or put her with Mariah.
Or with Mariah,
sold her so big to like be like she's paying her to be her muscle.
That could be fun. I guess one thing that blows me away about Mariah, she hits like a freaking truck. So her needing a heater isn't necessary, but it could certainly be fun. But I think there's a lot of fun possibilities there. I was just hoping we'd get like Shida, Deonna Purrazzo, Thunder Rosa, like something new set up out of that rather than continuations of Willow and Chris and Julia, and I keep wanting to call her Daphne in my head because she looks so much like her from Scooby-Doo. Oh my God, Jamie Hayter, I'm sorry. You deserve better than me.
Daphne, Donna Foreman, yeah, all that good stuff.
When she first came back, my Mark Order co-host called her Rainbow Bright because she had like the gear for that. I was like, oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I can see that. I mean, I knew what we were gonna get. As soon as Tony Storm came out like 5th in the matchup, I was like, oh man, I don't see this going much longer. I see like one other person coming out. And then when it was Harley Cameron, I was like, well, I love Harley, but that's not what I was really looking for here.
God bless her. She took the mist and didn't take the pin for some reason, but that's a different discussion for another day. I do think like Anna Jay should have somewhere to go on the main roster. And so, because what you have now is there's nothing for you to do on the main roster. So we're giving you like a compensatory title shot against the most successful champion in wrestling right now. Like you're demoted kind of, but the demotion is to the greatest title reign in wrestling right now. It just is. It's the longest one. So it's weird. It's weird that it feels like it's a step back for people that are on the main roster when it should feel like a huge opportunity. But we will get into all of that and more as we continue here. But let's dive into the show, guys. Get in those super chats. Over 3,300 of you watching right now. We appreciate it so much. Let's also talk about, because I know you love the Sons of Texas so much. Let's talk about these ROH tag titles, because we did have some motion there with MXM Collection cutting this backstage promo saying that they were looking for some more hardware, and then touching other tips, SP3. Touching not here. Not here.
Well, you forgot some of the best lines in this promo. Oh, some of the best lines. Am I? I don't know what's going on. I can't see Kate. Why don't I see Kate? Oh, I was about to say, I was wondering if I was gone or Kate was gone. I was like, I don't know what happened. I tried to touch tips with her, and her whole screen went away. Like usually, if I'm out with the internet, I see a black screen with squiggly lines. So I was not sure at all because your screen disappeared completely. I was like, what is going on?
One last ditch effort from House of Black to just come and take over my computer. I don't know what that was all about, but
and now
we can try again.
Should
we try again?
Choppy. Yes, you're choppy, but there we go. You're still here. You're still here at least.
My computer just cut off. I think I'm better now. Am I less choppy now?
You're still a little bit choppy, but I hear you fine. As long as I hear you and I can see you, I think we're in good shape. We're in good shape. I don't know if you want to reboot and come back. I'll just entertain the folks and talk about this MXM promo. Thank you, Netflix. Thank you, Netflix, for everything that you do, everything that you say. I'm not used to being this full screen, but I'm happy to do it, to give Kate time to reboot everything. So we want to thank Netflix, our Lord and Savior, our overlord of everything, for everything that they do. I'm just reading what Power Driver Finisher told me to say. But no, the MXM Collection promo was hilarious. They started off by telling the Sons of Texas, congratulations on your victory in the Tokyo Dome. But the only dome you should be receiving is from us. That is a direct quote. I wrote it down in my notes. Have it here in my notes. That is what Mason Madden said in reference to Sons of Texas. Once again, Congratulations on your victory in the Tokyo Dome. The only dome you should be receiving is from us. And then he explained himself. He meant when they cracked their domes together. You see, it makes sense. It makes sense at the end. Well, basically, MXM Collection made the challenge to the Sons of Texas. They want the sun to set on the Sons of Texas title reign as Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. I am all for this. You guys all know if there's one thing that I don't like on Ring of Honor television right now, it is the Sons of Texas as Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. I would go as far to say, and I will say this because I'm alone and Kate is not here currently, I would go as far to say I will take Chris Jericho, Ring of Honor World Champion, over Sons of Texas, Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. I am so serious. I am over this. They literally gave them a title reign because they had a residency in Arlington, Texas. And because they were trying to re-sign Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes is re-signed. There is no reason why this title reign needs to keep going. We need to get Sami back on track as a singles performer. I don't know how you're going to do that, but maybe you should do it in Ring of Honor. It will probably work better in Ring of Honor. Put him in the Ring of Honor World title scene. Ring of Honor World title scene. There ain't nobody challenging Chris Jericho for the Ring of Honor World Championship right now. You literally had to get Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona did such a great job. Y'all didn't even offer him a contract. You had people reporting saying that, Matt Cardona got offered a contract. How you don't offer Matt Cardona a contract? This man made himself into a star, a self-made star, one of the biggest independent wrestlers of all time. Merchandise sales, everything, made a name for himself. And you're telling me he can't get a contract offer? At least the contract offer for Ring of Honor? What are we doing? I know y'all want to cut me off, but I don't care what y'all say. Sons of Texas, Chris Jericho, greater than Sons of Texas. I said it. King of New York, Chris Jericho, New York Minute, Chris Jericho, greater than Sons of Texas. See, the numbers are only going up. The more I talk about this, the numbers are only going up. There's more people watching. We appreciate y'all for watching. This is a one-man show because Kate is currently having technical difficulties, and I am making my claim that anyone is better than the Sons of Texas to be Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. I will take MXM. Well, MXM, they're great. So there's not really elite there. The Outrunners are back here. So the Outrunners could be Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. Let's try to make something out of this merchandise draw and the reactions that these guys get. You got them back in Ring of Honor when it looked like they were getting the push and the come up to AEW, but you got them back on Ring of Honor. Why not put the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles on them? Better than Sons of Texas. You got them. You got Shane Taylor Promotion. Shane Taylor Promotion got 2 tag teams, so we up to 4. We up to 4. I'll take Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty. I'll take the Infantry. I'll take if Lee J, based on what we saw on this show, I'll take Lee J as the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. I'll take the Gates of Agony as the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. Hell, I'll take Dark Order as the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. Beef and his cousin, his first cousin, Anthony Hendry, when he's healthy, Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. Beef and JD Drake, Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. The Workhorsemen, Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. Hell, I will highlight anybody who wants to give me an option for Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. Power Driver Finisher, John Cruz and Serpentico, Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. Well, you have to, if you're new here, and you're asking why I don't like the Sons of Texas, because I've explained, I think I explained this in my whole diatribe that I'm giving you here. They only won the titles because they were in Texas. That's it. They were in Texas. They need to re-sign Dustin Rhodes. And I'm not saying I compliment them every time they have good matches. They had plenty of good matches with Undisputed Kingdom. Had a good match with the Righteous at Final Battle. But it's very predictable. It's very predictable, everything that they do. They're not the most engaging Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. And we have plenty of teams that are established here that's been winning matches that should win. Case in point, Shane Monster, Samoa Joe, and Stokely Hathaway, Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. That would work to me. They're undefeated. Aren't they undefeated as a tag team? Tell me when I'm telling lies. Samoa Joe and Stokely Hathaway, Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. Oh, Caprice and Ian, one of the best commentary teams in the land. Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni, Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. You telling me that won't work for all of y'all? That will work for me. That will work for me. I don't know about all of y'all, but that will work for me. Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. All right, if you're just joining us, remember to drop the thumbs up on this video. We appreciate y'all. We got more people who deserve to be Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions over the Sons of Texas as we go on, but we got more to discuss from ROH TV on Honor Club. I'm going to try to get this show back on the road after just going in a diatribe about who should be Ring. Oh, you're right. You're right, Matthew Hooks. See, Matthew Hooks, this is why he's a good brother. This is why he's a good brother. We always see him in the chat. He's always showing his support to us. He does sponsorship with Fightful sometimes. Matthew Hooks, GYV, I agree. Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. We're up to 9 now. We're up to 9 different teams that could be the Ring of Honor World Tag Team. That's all I've done. That's all I've done while you've been gone.
I love it.
I've been listing different tag teams.
Were you and I one of them?
Samoa Joe and Stokely Hathaway. I totally forgot about them. Thank you to the chat. They're undefeated, so they should be Ring of Honor World Tag Team.
Thank you to you. I'm so sorry. The power in my building was flickering. I think House of Black is trying to break in or something. One last ditch effort, but the wind here is nuts. So my apologies for that. But thank you for discussing all of the ways that the tag team division could get better. And I appreciate you hanging in there, SP3, because it is awkward to do to be alone here. But MXM, they had a couple of wins and then they weren't really used, and now it seems like they're back. What do you think about them? You want anybody to dethrone the current tag champions, but they do feel like they've been connecting with the crowd. They came in with like a ton of momentum. They've mostly eaten pins because they've mostly been working on the main roster, but I kind of want to see it. Like, what does an MXM title picture entail is something that is interesting to me.
It'll be a lot more interesting than the Sons of Texas, so I'll give you that. And I also talked about their great promo where they started off the promo by saying congratulations on your win in the Tokyo Dome, and the only dome you should be receiving is from us.
Incredible stuff.
Incredible quote. But I think that MXM should win because, as I also mentioned, another tag team that looked like they were getting over on AEW and now is back in Ring of Honor like MXM. The Outrunners are on this show, so why not the Outrunners? Why not pay off all the push that you given the Outrunners, or nudge? I call it a nudge that you given the Outrunners. They just pay it off by having them win the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles if they weren't going to win the AEW ones.
I agree. I think this is where not having clean divisions in your roster is something that hurts you, but we talked about that ad nauseum and they ain't doing that. So this is what happens. This is what happens. But guys, thank you for sticking with SP3. Thank you to SP3 for hanging in there. Send in those super chats if there's anything you want to talk about. We are going to continue along with the show so long as my electricity stays here. But we do have, you were just speaking about the Outrunners. We have the Outrunners and Shibata and Commander for reasons. Defeating Colby Carter. Sorry.
I feel like I was in a dream, like one of those light dreams where they like hit you with all the lights. I was like, what is going on?
What is happening? This, I was like, hey, the weather affected things, huh? That's when this kicked in for me. But the PK from Shibata putting them away. This was the most their wrestling match in the history of wrestling matches. It happened.
It was a wrestling match that happened on a wrestling show.
It was.
It kicked off the show.
It did. That's right. It started things, didn't it? Oh man. It did, but I will say the thing that we kicked off with proper was QT Marshall, right? Did he kick off the show? Yeah. Sometimes it loops around, and I'm like, wait, was that the last segment or the first segment? But
because they give you no like cut. They don't be like cut and then go to a new one. They should have like a running commercial, like a commercial for Ring of Honor TV before we go into the next episode of Ring of Honor TV.
It would, or just like a definitive ending. But we usually have the little like the vibe of a theme. But feeling creepy saying Nyla and Serpentico should be ROH champs. Send in your super chats of who should be ROH champs. This is a fun little game that we're playing. Some Tuesday night lore sneaking into things, but QT Marshall just saying that he's going to challenge for that ROH TV title on episode 100, which if you listen to part of tonight's broadcast was tonight, I think. And if you listen to most of tonight's broadcast was not tonight, but they clearly had some editing issues with the time frames of things. QT following up on the Proving Ground match. He's carved out a nice little like character arc for himself, and I'm happy for it. I still have whiplash about what they did to us in Hammerstein. The way they like got me emotionally invested, and then we're like, JK, this is gonna be two versions of Macho Man Randy Savage.
Hey, it was awesome. It was awesome.
It was so fun, but I was just so thrown off because I was amazed that they got me so invested about it, right? I love that there's now 4,300 people watching and they saw me just like before. And then they did something that was such a hard left turn, but it was a bunch of fun. But I like QT kind of standing on his stuff. I think the TV title match will be just fine. I'm just glad that the titles are on the show. But QT like pushing himself as made in Mexico is a very fun thing as well. So I'll take it. Any thoughts or expectations around this matchup to see QT be a lucha base?
Yeah, I think that he's gonna work well, and he knows how to bump around for the Lucha Libre stars as well. I like QT's act. I like the fact that he's been getting this push following up with the Big Boom AJ matchup at Full Gear. This is the place where you can push QT Marshall or give him more TV time. It works better here than what it would have on AEW television. So I think it was the right choice, and I'm looking forward to the matchup next week. We'll see how it goes down.
I agree with you there. I would like to see some of the people that we saw at Hammerstein on the show. They seem to have followed up with Blake Christian, which we're going to talk about in just a minute here because his heel heat was so undeniable. But like nobody in the world knew that Willie Mack was signed to AEW ROH when that whole GCW drama, not drama, unfolded. So like feature him on your show then. Like, have him on the show. Why you're not having Willie Mack on your shows is beyond me. That guy is awesome. He is awesome. But let's talk about Blake Christian because he defeats Parker Lee, who I thought was fantastic. I was not very familiar with him. He loses to Blake Christian's curb stomp here, but man, he's such a fun babyface and such an easy one to watch because of his moveset. Like, you just want to root for the guy because he's amazing. It's amazing to watch this guy work. Like, he has some of the most incredible agility combined with just like great fundamental wrestling that you'll ever see. And this heel run is fantastic. I follow GCW peripherally, so I saw some really good stuff, but I don't follow it enough to know that he's been this great at it. And it's very fun to see him goat these reactions, get them even in what was, I mean, most of this was a very dead crowd. It was like a snowstorm and post a Dynamite or before a Dynamite, right? So nobody was sticking around or trying to pack in with any like excitement here. But this has been incredible. Like, yeah, I really like this from Blake Christian. He plays the part extremely well, and I like that it's kind of counter to what he's able to do in the ring. I think it's working for Ricochet right now. That's someone who everybody says, like, he's a superhero. He's easy to root for. Look what he can do. Why wouldn't we cheer this guy? And now he's doing this dorky-ass heel gimmick, and it's working great. So I like the friction between those two things, and I liked this from Blake Christian, but I was not familiar with Parker Lee really at all, other than I think he had a couple other appearances maybe on ROH. But I was very impressed by him. I thought he was great in this.
Yeah, but like it's really kind of been the wave of like these guys that would prototypically like 10 years ago, even 15 years ago, would just be looked at as the high-flying wrestlers. The high-flying wrestlers that are so spectacular in the ring, they don't need to work on their characters, don't need to have developed personalities, but we've been seeing this wave, and I think it's really been kind of like Ospreay was like the first to really kind of like, we saw it when he came over to AEW, kind of this everyday British soccer hooligan character that he plays, the everyday man from London, England, or from Texas.
The
bruv of all bruvs. That character kind of related with people, and it showed that Ospreay had a lot more than what he could do and all the spectacular stuff that he does in the ring. He could show that on the mic and as a character. And then we've been seeing that Ricochet, who's becoming Rick Murray from Degrassi, and he's got the glasses.
Someone else made that comparison yesterday. Somebody else, and I was like, bro, you got to watch Degrassi dudes while it was a thing here on Fightful. But that's so funny that two people, I was like, early Kurt Angle, Jason Jordan, and they were like Degrassi, and I was like, okay, sure, whatever.
Degrassi. I see the vibes. I see the Rick Murray vibes. Sick of being embarrassed. He got embarrassed. He got the tar and feather on him, and he wound up shooting Drake. So now then you got Ricochet. He got toilet paper all over him. Wound up stabbing Serve. So it just works. It works. It makes sense. And you saw that with Blake Christian on a smaller scale on the independent scene in 2023, where he really, this was when I was really kind of tapped in on GCW, and I saw it. It really started with the Atlantic City crowd of GCW really turned on Blake Christian. Blake Christian would be on these GCW shows, turn it up. I always go back and talk to, like when I did interviews with Speedball Mike Bailey, I always go back to his matchup with Blake Christian at the beginning of like 2022 in Los Angeles. In GCW. They had that breakout matchup that really just set Speedball on fire on the independent scene, in my opinion. And Blake Christian kind of didn't get the same effect as Speedball did, but it took him another year, and then the crowd in Atlantic City turning on him, and then him developing this heel character, becoming the GCW world champion, this swarmy character who's hanging out with Missy Hyatt, who's cheating to win, who's using foreign objects, using low blows, and now we're seeing it on a bigger scale, not the biggest scale, but on a bigger scale in Ring of Honor, and I like it, and it's something that I'm willing to wait and let develop. It's not just a useless, like the opener match, that multi-man matchup of Commander Shibata and Outrunners. That's a random match on a random show. No one's gonna remember. It's not building to anything. This is a match that's building to something, because I think they've realized that Blake Christian can get over as a heel, but you have to give him wins to build up that momentum for him where he could potentially become a contender for the TV title.
Yeah, I think Commander winning the TV title was so interesting, but in that match, the thing that everybody was talking about with me on the post show that I saw on my timelines was like, wow, Blake Christian is locked in on this heel character because of the reactions he was getting. He had the spots for it too. He eliminated Mark Fletcher and things like that. But like, you can eliminate.
You called him Mark Fletcher.
Mark Fletcher. Oh, this is me trying to will Aussie Open back into existence for selfish reasons.
Like they're brothers. They're brothers.
Oh, those were the days. But Mark Davis, Kyle Davis, Mark Fletcher, like he had that big elimination, and there was a lot of like he really undercut that kind of hope spot that we got, and that was the Brian Cage's out of it moment, which was really interesting. But he was getting reactions that whole match, and he's gotten reactions since. So I think he opened a lot of eyes and turned a lot of heads. This match really fun. I had a lot of fun with this. I hope he continues to be used. I hope he is used frequently on ROH television, and I hope it goes somewhere. A Blake Christian pure match intrigues me a lot. Like, because sometimes you put people in environments like that and it's different, but I think he has the psychology, and I think he has a good enough, like, real wrestling foundation to have some fun with Lee Moriarty, because Lee is a dynamic wrestler too. So I would love to see it go in that direction. I think the TV title story is obvious. It's right there, like with Commander. So I hope they do both. Because I'm really, really enjoying this. But guys, get in those super chats. We got the TNA post show coming up on the back end of this. They're going to talk to you about that WWE partnership and all things going on in the TNA picture. So check that out with Joel and Cresta. But we got some more ROH to talk about here. Leave a thumbs up on this video. And because there are so many of you tuned in right now, thank you so much for sticking with SP3 while my electricity went. Bye-bye. Much appreciated. We will remind you to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com as well. I put over some of the scoops that have been coming out earlier, but you also have that Fightful Select Discord, which as people get weirder online, and they only get weirder, hang out with some like fun weirdos, safe weirdos, your kind of weirdos in the Fightful Select Discord. Talk wrestling in a controlled and moderated environment, but Shawn has an Ask SRS channel because he's out of his mind. And he thought, you know what? Why don't I give people 24/7 access to this channel to ask me questions instead of just making them ask on the Backstage Report / Q&A show? He will get those questions answered for you. So, or he will at least make the attempt. So, a great way to just kind of, if you have questions, get a little bit more direct line to things. So, big love for Fightful Select and Shawn on that. But let's keep working down this episode of ROH. It was just a weird episode. So there's not like a ton to... I'm like, let's lead with the most noteworthy things first. We kind of did. But let's talk about this proving ground match between Red Velvet and Angelica and Helica Risk. They said her name a few different ways. I think she's just Angelica. But you have Red Velvet winning with the left hook, which was awesome. I really liked that Angelica Risk was just talking a bunch of shit in this, to be honest. Like, they had a little bit of a story because Angelica Risk has had shots at other champions on the show, Athena, Billy Starks, etc. So, like, her kind of hanging around in this picture I thought was good. And I also liked that just because Red Velvet was a heel doesn't mean Angelica Risk has to come in like she's not Shazza McKenzie. That's not who she is as a wrestler. So I like that she didn't change who she was just because of who she was in on the match with. There were a couple of things in this that I loved with Red Velvet. One was just her facial expressions on certain things. Like, there's a lot of, when a heel boasts over someone's strewn about body and doesn't go for the pin, it's annoying. When they do it when someone's on the outside, I get it a little bit more. But she has this thing where she'll like take a victory lap, but her eyes just go down a little bit. And you can tell she's like waiting for the moment to pick at her prey. Like, just as soon as they're going to get back up, I'm going to capitalize on this. Little stuff like that makes a really big difference in matches like this, where you don't have a ton of story to go off of. This is kind of more just a proving ground matchup, whatever. But there was just a spot where she was on the apron facing the crowd, and the way she looked down at Angelica Risk on the floor was just like, the second you get up, bitch, I'm coming after you. And I love stuff like that. So that was refreshing to see. Her winning with the left hook was kind of nuts. It looked good. She's tiny though, so it's a lot to kind of buy into. But I am a big proponent of the more ways you can finish someone, the more I can buy into the fact that a match is going to end at some point, rather than he did his move, so now it's over. Give me multiple weapons. I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's keep that going. Left hook. I don't know. Maybe Trish Adora should be coming for this title. She knows some people that have pretty nasty hooks that we saw later in the show. That would be fun to see. So what did you think of what we got in this proving ground match?
I enjoyed this. I thought this was the highlight of the show as far as the in-ring action. I thought this was the best match on the show. I liked the little aggressiveness we saw from both ladies when they were fighting at ringside, a couple of brawling, and it allowed Ian and Caprice to kind of talk about their history together on the independent scene, and the fact that Angelica Risk has a victory over Red Velvet from when they were on the indies before her time in AEW and Ring of Honor. So I like that type of stuff. It adds to it. And like I said, when we talked about Ian's contributions to Dynamite last week, he just adds it as this kind of element of he has this knowledge that you don't typically have. I didn't have that going into this matchup, and him saying that little line just was like, okay, now I understand why they're being so aggressive with each other, while they're turning up the animosity between each other because they have a past with each other. So it adds more depth into the matchup. So I found myself more invested in this match than any other matches on the show. I'm willing to buy the whole left hook as a finish because she throws her whole weight into it.
She does. Her whole
into it, so it makes it look like it is a proper left hook. So I will give her that. I will try to give her the benefit of the doubt, and I thought this was her best performance as a heel, especially post match when she was like, anybody want to step up? She kind of had that swagger to her that I think that she's trying to get across with this new character. So like I said, I'm if there's something that we're building to, I like it. This was one of the matches that I like because it felt like we're building to something once again.
I agree. The contextualizing for Ian Riccaboni was like world class in this because it also justified why Angelica Risk was talking so much crap too. Because if she's just talking a bunch of crap, you're like, you're aggressive in your limited TV time today, ma'am. But it made a lot more sense that way. So I agree with you. I really like that as well. And to your point, her left hook, she really does throw her entire body weight behind. I just say load it up, right? She's used weapons before. Give her breast knucks. Like, go the whole 9 yards. It'll make me buy into it a little bit more. But though she is tiny, she put all of it into it. It's kind of how I view the coffin drop of, like, if it's just a solid, even if Darby's 125 pounds, it's a dead weight of 125 pounds falling on someone. I can buy into that. So little things like that are helpful, but let's move next to the Beast Mortos versus Tony Nese, which was the most we've got a weather situation match I've ever seen. But like Beast Mortos,
are they both heel?
They're both heels. Like Beast Mortos, I'm sure was called to Collision, but didn't have a match, so they put him in this with Tony Nese. Kudos, though. You said it a few times now, and it's true. They get that athletes suck thing over in a very real way. It kind of gives that Alpha Academy vibe to it, which is fun when done well, and I think it's being done well here. Josh Wood's not wrestling on television every week. He's just like, it's a felony. It's a felony. They should be arrested and locked away forever. No trial. I'm sorry. This is not a justice system. This is just an egregious crime against humanity. Like, Josh Wood, if he's healthy, should be wrestling way more often than he is. And my God, why he's not going for that pure title, I'll never know. But this was just, again, kind of one of the matchiest matches in the world here. But always fun to see Beast Mortos in action. Very fun that his finisher is named the Destination Hellhole. Which some episodes in the past have been Destination Hellholes in their entirety. So I appreciate that this has been a little bit more of an effort. We'll take it.
Very on the nose finisher there by the Beast Mortos. I enjoyed this matchup too. I did feel like I was like, well, this is pretty random. We haven't seen Beast Mortos on Ring of Honor in months now, and I feel like he is being kind of punished or like indirectly punished for whatever happened backstage with Roosh and Dralistico, because it seemed like they were gonna do something. I don't know what.
Was there something a thing?
With LFI, with La Faction Ingonables. Apparently there was a report that Roosh and Dralistico took liberties on Richard Holiday when they faced him on the episode of Rampage a few months back, and they got heat on them.
God, I didn't know this. SPT. Not even SPT, SPT spelling. I didn't know about this.
On an episode of Collision, I think commentary said that they had family issues, and then I think that report came out. I don't want to miscredit whoever said that, but I'm pretty sure it was either PW Insider or Wrestling Observer. So
gotcha. Okay, there were fight 'em ups.
Yep.
I didn't know
Squabble up. So. Apparently they had heat on them, and it just feels like Beast Mortos, they don't know what to do with him when he's on his own, which I'm confused because I would have sworn y'all knew how to push luchadors. Like y'all just did that with hologram. Like
it's true.
Y'all done this with the Lucha Bros before. Lucha Bros were one of your top tag teams when you first started the promotion, and for like 3 years until y'all stopped. I don't know why.
They really didn't. I guess Commander just got bumped. Like he
got injured. So I understand why Commander. Hologram got injured, but Commander, yeah, he's getting the push now. He's getting the push, but.
Yeah, Mortos is just such a different type of luchador. I cannot imagine of anybody backstage. Rush is in the top 5 people I would not fuck with.
Well, I think that's the whole thing. I think he took apparently the story was he took him and Jalisco attacked Holiday or like was trying to get like a post-match beatdown as the doctor was checking on Holiday.
Oh God, well, that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeesh. Yeah, I would that's never good. I feel like Brody King and Rush and a few others, I would be like, you know what? I will talk to you about this on the telephone because I don't want any of that smoke.
I don't want to say this to your face that you're not being used for a few weeks here.
I'm good. Well, we had our throwback match, which was also just senselessly thrown in here. Oh my God. But...
I think that's when I like mentally checked out of this episode. No. Like literally, I needed to turn on Ring of Honor again right before we went on here to get a reminder of this show because I think I checked out mentally when I saw Mark Briscoe versus Slim J from the first episode of Honor Club. I was like, out of all the episodes, out of all the matches from the first episode or the second episode of Honor Club, this one really?
On episode 99. If this was a flashback to the proper first episode on episode 100, I would understand. I love Slim J, honestly. Like, he's great. They should have never gotten rid of him. I love him. Well, let's actually dig into what was our main event. And the reason I saved this for the end was because I thought one of the most compelling things that we got on the show was this vignette from Shane Taylor. I thought this was so good. He says that he was from the fighting. Wait, what did he say? There was a vignette from Shane Taylor. Where he's from. The fighting would end when someone couldn't handle it anymore. There we go. I can read my notes. I'm not dyslexic. Not when somebody interfered, but when somebody gave up, basically. And this was so compelling. This look for Shane Taylor, this presentation, he's sitting there like a mob boss. He looks killer. There's something so commanding. Samoa Joe has this, and there's very few, but a couple other big men that when you modulate the tone of your voice to be quieter, it is so much more intimidating than yelling. And he's got that. When you are this good on the mic and you aren't shouting, it is so much more like, like I am buying what you're saying and I am scared for the well-being of your opponents. Like it does what it's supposed to. I think that Hobbs vignette we saw on Collision was another good example of that, where he just like very calmly said, I've been stabbed, dude. I'm not scared of what you're going to do to me, John Moxley. I'll see you in Ohio. Was like excellent stuff, but there's something so much more lethal about that, like, quiet command, because you just come across as an assassin instead of like, I'm out of control with my emotions. But I loved everything about this. I loved what he said, like, where I'm from, the fighting doesn't stop because somebody got in the way. It stops when we're done beating the shit out of each other, essentially. I thought that's great stuff. I really liked that. So did you enjoy this vignette as much as I did?
I enjoy all of these Shane Taylor vignettes. Like I said, I think last week or the week before, very reminiscent of those Samoa Joe King of Television vignettes before he went after the AEW World Championship. There's this air of like legitimacy as well as intimidation that comes across with the way these promos are delivered and the way these vignettes look. And you kind of believe everything that Shane Taylor says. You believe that STP is going to win more championship gold in 2025, which has really been the focus of these vignettes over the last couple of weeks, and we've been seeing more of a spotlight being shown on Shane Taylor Promotions. This is another week of them headlining the show, being in the main event of the show. I want more of this. They need to be an act that is identifiable with Ring of Honor, because honestly, outside of Athena, we haven't had many.
I agree, and I feel like there's some optimism, always cautious optimism with ROH, but the fact that Trish Adora actually got a match and it was a squash against someone they've been building in Harley Cameron last week, and the fact that last week there was just more of a unit sense with the fact that the Infantry was like interfering in different ways kind of in what was going on. So I felt like this is the most cohesive they've ever been. Back it the up and put gold on these guys, please. Great. Outside of Lee Moriarty, who we get to see win with the Border City stretch. We talked about this at the beginning of the show. Lee J and Shane Taylor Promotions, awesome, by the way, defeating Boulder, Serpentico, and the Dark Order. Such a funny amalgamation of humans.
How did we come up with this? Like, what are we doing?
This really just looked like, all right, they haven't been used tonight. But I always try to cut slack on things like, I'm sure it was affected by travel.
2 8-man tags. What is this? The Survivor Series?
They should have done a Survivor Series style one just to see if people were paying attention.
With one up, at least. Come on.
Yeah. But this was fine. Red Velvet should have main evented. This should have been edited properly in that way. But what are you gonna do? This was what it was. I'm glad that Shane Taylor was on the winning side, but I don't need to see this. I don't need to see anybody in the Dark Order face anyone in Shane Taylor Promotions for like a good 6 months or so. Like, we got it. We got it.
We get it, and it's very one-sided, so I don't know why we keep doing this over and over again. We know the result. Shane Taylor Promotions wins.
Yeah. Poor Dark Order, man. Poor Dark Order, but any thoughts on kind of our main event here?
Good stuff. I was very confused. Like, I went to like the bathroom during the entrances, so when I saw Lee J with STP, I was like, when did these guys join the group? I was very confused. I was like, I thought this was going to be STP versus the other. And every time they showed the graphic, I did not notice that. I did not notice it was Lee J. I thought it was just going to be STP versus this conglomeration. That is a conglomeration.
That is a
That's
conglomeration.
The ROH conglomeration right there of stars on the babyface side. But I like what we saw here. I like Lee J, and I like the way Shane Taylor was kind of given the tags to Lee Johnson to kind of say, hey, prove yourself to me. And I like commentary bringing up that Lee Johnson is one of the few people in 2024 who got a win over Kyle Fletcher, got a pinfall victory over Kyle Fletcher. I like that Kyle Fletcher has gotten to a name that you can actually brag about getting a win over him. That says a lot. Yeah, that says a lot for what they've done with Kyle Fletcher over on AEW television. So I'm hopeful that this may lead to Lee J joining up with Shane Taylor Promotions, because I honestly wouldn't mind that. If you're not going to do Lee J coming up to AEW and get involved in whatever was going to be Swerve versus the Hurt Syndicate, it seems like it's over already. But yeah, see, if they're not going to get involved in that, why not have them join Shane Taylor Promotions and make them like this big, overpowering, outnumbering force in Ring of Honor?
I feel like that was probably some guys. Like, I think that was probably a some guys are here situation, but I liked them working together. And I like what you said too about Shane Taylor kind of giving way to like, all right, kid, show us what you got with Lee. Also liked commentary saying with EJ and Nduka, like, I think the only criticism of him was like, maybe he's not as fired up or taking as much proactive like tenacity as he should be. No one's going to accuse him of that now, because I don't think that's true. But I think that's a very fun commentary way to call attention to the fact that he is that way. Like, yeah. And he does seem kicked up an extra level. So I really, really like what we got in that regard. We'll see. I think this was just an off-kilter episode. Hopefully episode 100, when it's actually proper episode 100, has some more meat on the bone. I believe Athena's back in the US, so hopefully the taping cycle will get to include her, because she's obviously been the most important part of this promotion, honestly, for the past 3 years. So incredible to see the work that she was doing in Japan, and the emotion in that video package just really was very sweet. Honestly, it was great to see. So glad she was afforded a well earned opportunity. But SP3, we got a couple minutes before Cresta and Joel get here. Would you? I'm just offering everybody this week. Like to rant about the AEW World Title picture?
Oh, I honestly, that is not my biggest issue with AEW this week.
Okay.
Because what the hell was that Jeff Jarrett and MJF segment? Oh my God. I was like, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I was on our review. I was like, I really enjoyed that MJF Jeff Jarrett segment last week. We're going to do the review tomorrow. I'm not going to be on the same vibe with this one because yes, it does make sense for well-known edgelord MJF to say, "Oh, Karen Jarrett, you're a unholy woman," and all this stuff and all that. But Jeff Jarrett,
the
elder
babyface,
statesman, sympathetic babyface, should not respond and say Alicia Atout is also a whore. No, that's not the response.
As is your mom, and your dad's an ambulance chaser.
Like,
I'm the babyface. What on earth, dude? Horrendous. You know, it was so funny. I was talking about this with Alex, and we were like, MJF established himself as the low-hanging fruit guy, and he's trying to get at Jeff Jarrett. And the initial reaction from Jeff Jarrett of being like, I'm impervious to this kid. Like, I've done everything you're doing. I've been told everything you're doing. I heard this promo a million times. This is great. And if MJF had just cut from that too, oh yeah, you're only getting the shot because you were Owen Hart's best friend, and now you want your day in the sun. Yeah, and that's the thing where Jeff Jarrett slugs him. Perfect.
That's consistent character work. That's the same thing that MJF did with Will Ospreay. He tried to dig at him for being a flippy wrestler, dig at him for being from British. Then he dug at his family, and that finally got to Will. He could have done the same thing with Jeff. Like, I see somebody in chat. Oh, we've reached a limit with MJF. MJF is not the problem with this promo.
Yeah, I agree.
It's Jeff Jarrett's response. Jeff Jarrett's response totally tanked, and MJF tried his best, even with the response to what Jarrett said. Tried his best to bring it back because he was like, you know what? I'm gonna give you the layup to bring up the fact I didn't go into the casino gauntlet. That's the whole premise of this whole thing, is that I tried to use you to get to the AEW World Championship. Now I'm mad at you for not letting me use you. But I'm an elder statesman who's sympathetic, so I shouldn't be calling anybody a call girl. What are we doing? It's 2025.
I didn't like it when MJF did it. I didn't like the alcoholism references either. That's just me, but I get it, right? I understand the place that it had in this promo, and I understand he's trying to get under Jeff Jarrett's skin. I thought the direction we were going was where they initially went with the I've seen it all before, kid, because it's a good follow-up to last week's promo. Why this was longer than the entire women's casino gauntlet is beyond me, but our bonus time of ranting is up. When I had it with Cresta, I made her play Mad Libs with you. I gave you the floor to rant about AEW, but we're going to bring on Joel and Cresta, who I'm sure had some thoughts on not only tonight's episode, but we have this WWE-TNA partnership continuing. Cresta's still... Oh, are you ready? Are you ready, dear? Are you ready, darling?
I was born ready. No, I wasn't. I'm like... What's something that's notoriously you think it's ready and it's not?
Oh, it's like the opposite of Chinese food, where I'm like, how is it this ready so fast? It's the opposite. Whatever the opposite of Chinese food is.
I want to say like a souffle, because if you open up the oven too fast, then it deflates. And if you take too long, then it's buoyant.
There you go. Well played.
And that's all I got. I feel like that's wrong, though. And where are my colors? Someone said Hot Pockets.
That's perfect.
That's lava, actually.
There you go. There you go. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Are you excited for your job security of the WWE-TNA partnership?
I don't know if we ever had a lack of job security given this whole thing, but sure.
I'm just saying, now you got that WWE money coming now.
Exactly.
Shawn's
There
on
are
everyone's payroll.
There are
So
certain things that I hope WWE gives to TNA that allows me to do my job a little bit easier.
There you go. There you go.
I would like to see
And mine.
Yes, and yours as well, SP3. I'd like my email chains to be a little tighter.
we love a logistics king.
You know what? Cards on the table. I just want to be able to send an email, look at all the details, and get a great PowerPoint out of it.
I get it. I get exactly what you're saying, and I'm sure they're providing that now already. But we'll get out of here and let you get at this TNA WWE relationship and all of tonight's episode. We didn't have a ton to talk about. This was very clearly affected by the weather, but it was fine. We did all right. We lived our lives.
Yeah, episode 100. That wasn't actually episode 100.
Correct. And what's even
Episode
funnier,
99.5.
episode 99, and then the actual, when you click on the episode by like the time bar, it says 98. So I don't know who's right or wrong, but it's hysterical either way.
At least they knew to schedule and press play on time this time.
Yeah.
These are the days of our lives.
It was fun while it lasted.
It was.
$10 a month well spent.
We are invoicing back for that. Bye.
Bye, guys.
I respect it.
Bye.
The toodaloo was great for me and you.
Hi.
Hi, Joel. How are you?
Hurting. How are you?
As you can tell, my energy is very up. I actually enjoyed TNA tonight. And now that your energy is so low, I'm like, damn, am I doing too much? I don't care. I'm Cresta. That's what you come here for.
Was it the crack?
Is my FBI agent listening? Nah.
Someone could say they always listen, but that's just us.
I mean, if you're loyal to the Fightful channel and you're loyal to our Thursday show, then you too are always listening. Shout outs to Meet Normus and AO Productions.
The way I thought you were about to say, oh, if you're always listening to us, or if you're always watching us and you're always supporting us, then you know all about crack. I don't know why. Well, that's where you were going with that.
Is there something you want to talk about, Joel?
I'd mentioned it on In the Weeds. I don't know if you know it yet, or
I don't.
if you heard. So I was in the emergency room yesterday. I'm okay. Some people
now I feel like an asshole.
No. You're fine. Trust me, you're fine. I had walking pneumonia at the beginning of 2025. So like the first week. Walking pneumonia doesn't sound as bad as the name gives. But I got the meds. I had 5-day antibiotics. And the one thing with walking pneumonia is that you cough a lot.
Oof.
And so I woke up on New Year's Day and had this pain in my side. I thought that it was a pulled muscle. And then the pain started to kind of get more and more confined to one specific space on my side, to the point where I couldn't sleep at night. So I went to the emergency room yesterday at 3 a.m, and the doctor saw me around 5:30 and said, you got yourself a bruised rib, not a cracked rib. And I was like, how the hell do I have a cracked rib? And they're like, well, you cough too often, and you get a cracked rib from all the coughing from the walking.
Excuse me?
It's a thing. Your ribs are strong, but sometimes they can get cracked. You have a cracked rib. And I'm like, so what's the treatment? They're like, 4 to 6 weeks, no like heavy exertion, just, take Tylenol, Advil, here's your pain plan. And I was like, oh, great. So basically I just have to grin and bear it. So I'm tired. I slept last night, but I need to catch up. So that's why I'm the way I am right now.
Joel, I will bring all the energy for you. You relax. We got this. I'm glad you're recovering, but all I could think in my mind is, how did Joel crack a rib from coughing? And I've seen people take coup de grace every Monday. What is happening here?
I mean, they probably get it too, but also it's just the force of coughing can really mess you up, man. I'm telling you.
That's crazy. I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you got you. I'm so glad my flabbers are gassed. I'm glad you're okay.
Well, like anyone who watched In the Weeds for the week when I was sick and then getting over it saw that I was like coughing hard. Like I was having coughing fits on the air. And I ride my mute button. I've got like my finger is right here and it sits on my soundboard where I have a mute button and it's I press that thing on and off like nothing else. And they could see me. Like you see me cough, you can't hear me, thankfully. I was that was part of the reason why. But it's starting to get better. I think I cracked it 2 weeks ago, which means I should be 2 weeks to 4 weeks away from feeling okay. They say the first 2 weeks are the worst, and it has been.
So I'm hoping that you have Wolverine like recovery and you are back to normal in no time.
Oh, I will be just in time for Sunday.
You better be.
And if I'm not, then guess what? Jensen will be here too. So I'll have one more person that I can rely on for a little extra oomph in the conversation.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right. Well, how are you doing otherwise? You good?
I am quite splendid tonight. I had a very productive day. I thought today's go home show was really well. I took a hard look at some of our previous stuff and I realized that I talked too fast. At least I think so. So if I'm talking slower tonight, it's because I'm trying to do the whole I'm a professional gimmick. So.
Oh, I know I talk too fast. I just do not care. I also listen back at like 2.5 speed. So.
That's also fair. Also, I did not read the TNA WWE announcement.
I knew it.
I saw it. I was like, I actually was adulting today. I went outside. Guys, I'm a leper. I don't go out my house.
Girl, the way I thought I was going to have to break that news to you tonight on the air, I was so ready for it.
I knew it happened because somebody else asked me about it. And I was like, wait a minute. Then I checked my email. I got a thing from Fightful Select. You guys should subscribe. Just saying. And I wanted to read it, but then I have to go be an adult really hard. I hate it. Adulting is for the birds. So Joel, I know myself and our lovely viewers would love to hear about this TNA WWE deal.
Let's get into it, shall we?
Yes.
How about for the audio and a 1 and a 2? Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful.com. It is time for your TNA Impact post show. It's January 16th, 2025. I am at Joel Pearl, or at the Joel Pearl over on the Blue Sky, the thejoelpearl.com. Great, ready, wonderful. Anyway, now that you know, and now that you can find me, Cresta Star is with me as she always is, the wonderful, amazing, fantastic, and I see her on Sunday this week as well. How you doing, Cresta?
I'm doing well. Double the dose, double the Cresta. Cresta and Joel with our special guest. Well, a recurring guest, regular Steven Jensen will be here on Sunday. I'm okay. I'm swell. Like I said, Bill, in the crossover, my energy is high, so I'm gonna chill out. Let's do this.
Nah, you don't have to do that. You just bring your energy. You'll be all right.
I'm trying to think of who has the most energy in TNA, and all I keep thinking is Johnny Swinger, and I don't know if I want that energy.
You do want that one, Daddy.
Daddy, let's go.
Daddy. That's the energy everyone should be going after. We mentioned Sunday. Sunday is TNA Genesis. The show just got a little bit bigger from some news that dropped via WWE and TNA. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The partnership is not only back on, well, never really left, but now it is solidified. There was a press release with some renewed synergies coming up, but Genesis has now become a bigger show. We were always going to do a post show on Sunday. It looks like it just got a little bit more important. Myself, Cresta Star, and of course the aforementioned Steven Jensen will join us after the show on Sunday the 19th to talk about that and a whole lot more. Hell, maybe even Sean Ross Sapp will show up because let's face it, when there's a big old news story to drop, especially at a TNA pay-per-view, the first of the year, he usually comes around and says hi. So looking forward to that. But tonight we're going to talk about the go home to Genesis. This was taped like a month ago, so at this point it's already gone home. It's already, ordered Uber Eats a few times. It's had some leftovers, took out the trash a couple weeks ago, and then decided, maybe I should patch the roof because it's been a little while. They even had some friends come over and have a party. They've really warmed the place in, and then there's pay-per-views. So overall, though, that was a pretty good show. It was a pretty good go home. a lot more talky talk. They had a lot of stories that they needed to tell in a very short amount of time. But overall, I enjoyed the show. What do you think of this go home for Impact?
I thought it was a very good go home. I must commend the long form video packages for Ace Austin and Joe Hendry. I think that TNA does a really good job when they do wrestler profiles, especially before a big match, that make you really feel like this is the guy you need to root for, even if it's quote unquote the villain, the heel. Ace Austin's profile tonight to me, was very well shot. It touched on everything, and I really commend them for that. This tonight was a really good go home, even if it was a go home that already went home and then came back because it forgot something, moved back home, and then left again.
They did the dishes. They ran the dishwasher. They really got everything. They realized you don't put plastics in the dishwasher. That's not good.
It might melt, love.
Yeah, it might melt, and also it might just give you some troubles later on. But anyway, I don't know why we went into those actions, but we did.
I don't know. Sometimes it's get weird tonight. Let's do it.
Weird. You know what? Get weird with us. Go ahead, drop a like on the video if you haven't already. What is wrong with you? Do the thumbs up right now. Let's get to it. If you haven't subscribed to us here at youtube.com/Fightful, you also should be doing that. If you're listening in the audio realm, drop us a 5-star review. That goes super duper far in getting your ears connected with other ears of like-minded people talking about wrestling. And we're one of the good ones, if I do say so myself. So go ahead, get up in there. 5-star reviews, thumbs up, subscribe. If you want to donate a little bit of money to our cause, you're welcome. We are self-funded here at Fightful, not only through Fightful Select, the best $5, soon to be $6 in the business. We have your 6s, or we want your 6. So Sean's trying to rebrand this thing. We'll get there. I promise. We want your 6. It's a verse. Anyway, whatever. Fightful Select is one way. And also you can donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air. You can also go to humperchats.com. Cresta, tell them how so that I can shut up.
I got you, pal. You're going to head on over to humperchats.com, humperchats.com, and you're going to put your comment in the comment box, your dollar amount in the dollar box, and we get to keep a little bit more of the donation amount. Everyone's happy. Sean gets to pay us. You get to pay us. Don't be weird, but come be weird with us. humperchats.com.
Yeah, be the good kind of weird.
Be the funny weird.
Yeah, the funny weird. By the way, the Fightful Awards are this Sunday as well, 6 p.m. Eastern. That's going to run here. So don't worry. You can still watch Genesis. You can even watch pre-show, because the awards, they're not going to go an hour. Or maybe they will. I don't know. I'm not the one hosting or producing them. But either way, they exist. So you should check it out. That's this Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Fightful Awards right here on this channel. You should be watching. And then, of course, check out our post show for TNA Genesis, because that's why you're here, is to talk TNA. So why don't we jump right into it? Leon Slater defeats Trent Seven. That's a wrap on Trent Seven. Got a couple of those tonight, I think. I'd like Frankie Kazarian on commentary. Well, the first thing he does is take credit for getting Leon Slater signed while they were on the UK tour last year. And you've got Hannafin being like, oh, it's factual, but like, shouldn't have to say it. And then you got Raywalt being like, but it's true and it's great. I thought this was a solid match. I knew what to expect, but other than that, you got the 450 Swanton for the win from Leon Slater, and Trent Seven looks good on the way out, and this was it. My only question to you, Cresta Star, is before that Swanton 450, what the hell was Leon Slater going for from the stage dive? Yeah,
I forgot I was muted. I'll be honest with you. I don't know, because I saw him going back, and I'm like, let me get my notes so I can write down. By the time I looked down and looked up, this man was midair, and I was like, Leon Slater, what? I'm not mad, because the way he turned it onto the top rope was really cute. I'm looking at my notes. Don't judge me, y'all. It was real cute, but I'm like, I don't know what he was going for, but it worked. Trent Seven lost.
That's all that matters.
A W is a W no matter how you slice it. I think this match was really good. Like you said, I think him kicking out of the Birmingham Hammer, a move that's been very well protected in TNA. I have something in my eye. I don't mind my facial expressions, y'all. Kicking out of the Birmingham Hammer looked really strong on Leon Slater. I don't know what we do next with Leon Slater. I low-key want him to beat up Frankie Kazarian, just because Frankie Kazarian right now is such a good smarmy heel. He's so oily, greasy in the best kind of way. I do like him on commentary, but I do want him to get beat up also. I know that's very fickle of me, but I'm a wrestling fan. Don't judge me.
I mean, it might happen at the countdown, because Frankie and Leon Slater are going to have a match on Sunday before the show goes live. So that could be it. This is when we give our thoughts on, we'll run down the Genesis card and give our predictions, because we usually like to do that when we go to a go-home show, get ready for the pay-per-view. But there's two ways that Kazarian and Slater match can go, and I'm interested in your thoughts when we get there. And at the end of this match, Frankie Kazarian got into the ring, applauded Leon Slater, and that was it. They just let it go. Now, the next segment, oh baby. There were some people who are not frequent TNA watchers who did not enjoy this. I loved this. The Elegance tag title pre-launch. There was other stuff that happened. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Like the Joe Hendry interview, he was just like, I'm going to be champion because I love this business. And who cares? But the Elegance
Time out. What was that accent?
Don't know. Don't care. Don't wonder. Don't ask about it.
My apologies. I never saw anything. Please continue, sir.
It's usually it's one thing, but I just went a complete different way this time. Don't know why.
Kind of sounded like Shrek. I'm sorry.
Don't all people from the UK sound like that?
Yo, we're both fans.
when I do it on In the Weeds, but it's usually more of a Drew McIntyre thing. People are just like, is that Shrek? I'm just like, I don't know.
Listen, the voice of Shrek speaks through you.
What's amazing is that wasn't that Mike Myers?
Yes, notorious Scottish Mike Myers. Actually, you're right.
Notoriously Scottish Mike Myers, who is also Canadian, last I checked.
That's what makes it funnier.
So if nothing else, I'm in the right lane.
This is a show about TNA.
Or is it?
Or is it?
Iceman got standees with the Knockouts tag titles of the Elegances. Ash grabs the mic and thanks her team, including their Starbucks barista, their personal Starbucks barista. And Iceman's waiting the whole time for a special shout out. And I was like, are they going to leave him out of it and like do a thing and tease some tension? No, they didn't. They thanked him and he was all happy. And then Heather does the same shtick. And then Spitfire comes out and they're like, this isn't elegance. It's just delusion, which I like that line.
That was a good line.
Yeah, they said elegance is just like, you belong on the clearance rack. And then Ash is just like, that was funny. Is it not funny? I thought that was funny. I'm like, you're trying. I don't think it's going to work. Spitfire tosses out the elegance, beat up the standees. And that was the segment. What did you think of this? Because like, it was camp for camp's sake, but I need your thoughts.
My favorite part of this is when Danny Luna ripped off the head. Ripped off the head of Ash by Elegance, because it was just so stupid. And then when she threw it at her, Ash starts screaming at it like it's her head. And in that moment, I said what you said. Oh, this is camp for camp's sake. This is so silly. I live for that. That one moment right there saved the whole segment for me, because this segment was not for me in its entirety. But that moment, was it for that moment? I don't care. Yes. I laughed. You got me to laugh, so I went. I vote for you. It was great for what it was. I'm just a little dismayed that Spitfire's really going to lose. And also, I thought Jody Threat's hair looked very beautiful tonight. Those curls, if she does, whoever does it, those are my notes.
No, I agree with you. She looked great. The acting is, leaves a little bit to be desired, but this is the one thing with Jody that I've spoken to her on and off the air about, and so I don't mind making reference to this. Like our first interview when she was first with TNA, Jeremy and I on In the Weeds, we talked about, are you working on character and acting and things like that? And she's like, that's something that I'm really working on, like getting better about. And she has. I think Jody Threat has come a super long way from where she started a couple years ago with TNA as a character to like getting more comfortable with the microphone and cutting a promo. And it could be a short promo even, or just being out there and like projecting, and I think that's good. I think this segment was stupid, but like,
oh yeah, oh absolutely,
that's kind of supposed to be, and that's just what the elegances are. And yes, it sucks that they're going to win the tag. Well, it doesn't suck because it just plays into the entire arc of what I've been telling people for the last year now, that the elegances are going to win, and then Havoc will show up eventually, and that'll be the next tag team title holders.
When Joel is right, I want to question you all the time, and I want to push back just because it's not what I want. But then I have to remember all the times you were right and I was wrong.
Well, who
So,
else are you going to have in that tag division?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't think that Spitfire should be broken up, but I can agree that something needs to happen with the Knockouts division tag titles right now. I do think we need maybe 1 or 2 more tag teams, but hey, that's another conversation.
I mean, you're going to get an influx of NXT talent soon enough coming
That's
around.
true.
There are a lot of women in that NXT women's division. There are some tag teams that could be formed. There are some partnerships and some matches that could come out of that. We'll get a little more into the partnership stuff shortly, but that's just kind of where I'm at. And I don't necessarily think Spitfire gets broken up out of this. I think it'll be, if anything, they should do a you go your way, I'll go mine in singles division, but we have each other's backs because we're still friends. We get it.
I agree with that. No, I agree with that. I don't think there needs to be like a you cause us to lose at all. I do think there is a world where Danny Luna is in the Knockouts women's main title division. And I do think there's a world where Jody's even in the X division or the digital media title division. So,
although I am interested as to what a Jody Threat heel turn would look like. So there is that. I'm just putting it out there. Gia Miller's backstage with PCO and Sammy Callahan. Will they beat the Hardys or will PCO work GCW Hammerstein on Sunday? The answer may shock you.
Honestly, the answer did shock me. This
Really?
was alarming. This was surprising. And I feel like we spoke about this before. I also want to say that earlier when you were doing your Scottish accent and I said we were banned, I was really laughing because I said, is this Monster or is this French? And I'm like, damn, you can't go to Canada anymore now.
No, you can, because we ask the same question about the Quebecois all the time. Is this Monster or is this French? They look at us.
I laughed, but I was like, I don't know what's happening here. I was sports confused.
I continue to ask the question, is PCO under TNA contract? I will continue to ask that question for the next, until I get an answer. Because at this point, he, again, was signed. He was the first TNA signee when they rebranded. And that was October 2023. TNA traditionally does 1-year deals. We don't know if he's still under contract. He still has the Digital Media Championship and that, whatever, the International Canadian World Heavyweight Championship that, like, he basically owns it. That, they don't care about the Digital Media Championship. They don't. It's fine. They can easily just strip him of it and be like, he worked Hammerstein instead of us. But I just don't know what PCO's contract status is. And someone in the chat's like, imagine PCO wrestling on an NXT show. Yeah, I would love to imagine it, but I'd also like to imagine PCO, I don't know, working for TNA still after this week.
I agree with that. I'm also trying to think, who the fuck would he wrestle in NXT? And I don't want to, but yeah, I don't know what we do here. Like I said, I kind of thought that it was going to be a 3-way because that would make it a big, and if there's a kerfuffle, we can always say this is why this happened. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah, no, I knew that they weren't getting in because I knew that they announced the PCO gimmick that, like, last week that he was going to be at Hammerstein.
But also too, we didn't even have, at the end of that match, we didn't even have a heel turn. You know what I mean? Nothing was resolved. There was no 23 resolution. It was just clean and on to the next segment. So I'm like, Brr?
So that's why I think they'll bring PCO in for the live show, just so that they can have Sammy write him off for good. Do the 23andMe reveal.
Not.
What? Prove me wrong.
I can't. I won't, Your Honor.
The bad guy is actually the Ancestry database. Why is 23andMe to prove PCO is a monster and he's a murderer?
Not only that, monsters and murderers are not allowed to legally compete in any sort of professional wrestling arena. So what do you want, a lawsuit or an exorcism?
We'll see. I do still think Sammy Callahan is a stupid 23. It's very funny. People are like, what if it's this person? What if it's this person? I'm like, well, what if it's Sammy Callahan? Because it's Sammy Callahan.
I mean, but let people dream. What if it's Penta? I'm kidding.
Surprise me. Do something funny. Do something fun.
Drop it in the comments. Surprise Joel. New segment. Surprise Joel.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know what? If you work in the TNA front office, tell me who it is so I can have a good laugh over it not being Sammy. Or if it is Sammy, don't say anything. Eric Young and Steve Macklin defeat First Class. My favorite part of the announcement today from the TNA WWE renewed partnership was AJ Francis getting every single possible joke off that he possibly could. I loved it. He spent all day on Twitter just tweeting about his return to WWE based on this announcement. Oh, God.
I'll be real with you. I was one of the AJ Francis not haters, because I think hate is a strong word. I don't dislike the man. I was a naysayer. But watching this come full circle, if I were him, I'd be getting my jokes off too. Y'all would be sick. You would have to mute my account. You'd have to mute my account. Oh, my mic dropped. I got scared. It's like, no matter what, that's so funny. From literally flop dollar to right back. So no money. I hate it. I hate it because it's good. I'm hating because it's good. I would be getting my jokes off too. Do your big one.
I think the best part about this is people who hate on AJ Francis, again, do not understand the stuff he's done outside of the ring for wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And the people he's brought in and the voices that he's platformed and the ideas that he's had. I will openly sing his praises because he has proven that he keeps himself in conversation and he's got a mind for this. Do I think he's like, he should be world champion tomorrow? I'm not going to tell you that he should or shouldn't, but like I think he's undersold to a lot of people, and more people should be understanding of what AJ brings to the table. So I had fun watching him get his jokes off because it's funny. Meanwhile, this match,
absolutely.
Yeah, meanwhile, this was just to solidify Eric Young and Steve Maclin as a tag team. First class is first class. They're going to be fine. They've announced. So Maclin gets the scud on AJ. EY hits the top rope elbow drop on Casey Navarro for the win.
Did you say Sons of Maclin?
But no, it's the scud.
No, before that, did you call him and Eric Young Sons of Maclin?
No.
What did I hear?
I don't know.
No. What? Yo, Shawn, turn off the music upstairs.
I also sometimes say words, and Jeremy catches me on in the weeds and is like, "That's not what you said," and I just don't think that's what I said. Maybe it is. Someone rewind the tape. I don't care. Eric, I said EY. I said Maclin with the scud on AJ. EY with the top rope elbow drop on Casey Navarro for the win.
You know what? Maybe I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Regardless, this is setting up for Genesis. It's Maclin and EY versus Myers and Edwards. So that's a fun tag match. I'm looking forward to that. The match between Maclin and EY versus the Hardys, that's going to be a good match when they get there. I don't think that's happening tomorrow. I don't think it's happening soon. It could happen as early as Sacrifice, which is the show after Genesis. But like, you can play that out at Rebellion. I think I'd have fun with that. But what do you think of the Maclin and Young versus First Class match?
I think that Casey Navarro is incredibly freaking talented. I feel bad that he got beat up. They were not pulling their punches, and he could take a hit. And I don't know if that's a compliment, but Casey Navarro, has a very bright future. And also commentary kept putting that over, that his 2025 is looking bright as well. They kept showing this guy in the crowd, and there was a moment there where Casey mushed him and he mushed him back. It looked for a hot moment. Both of them were selling to me. I kind of looked real. Then when AJ yoked him up, I was like, oh my God, that's a fan. That's a paying customer. That moment I thought was very interesting, but also very cool as well. I think that AJ Francis brings a level of, let's bring everybody into this to get more eyes on this. And there's a certain business sense about him, even when he wrestles. So I think that it was just enough to be like, what are you doing, sir? So I got to give it to those two guys. Eric Young and Steve Maclin winning obviously was the right choice. And I honestly kind of hope that they beat the system on Sunday.
I would expect them to. I think it's time for the system to kind of, start going down a little bit.
I agree, but I've also been wrong, so.
That's fair, but Eric Young and Steve Maclin are a newer, fresher tag team. They had their matches. They had their feud. I think it's now time to explore what that tag team can look like. And again, go up against the Hardys. This is, in some ways, I don't know if I want to call it a dream match, but at least it's a match that has a lot of intrigue, watching the Hardys go up against two, like, big beefy guys, whereas the Hardys were high flying types back in their day. I would like to see that match. I don't know when we would see it. Like I said, Rebellion is a possibility, or they just run it on TV because Young and Macklin are not exactly like a tag team behemoth type of match or type of team. But you can tell that they're definitely making a play for Macklin and EY as a tag team in the interim.
I want to ask you, do you think that this was a kind of like pivot from Jake Something and Hammerstone being the big beefy guys, and now you have someone like Macklin and Eric Young put together? Not mad at it, but do you think that's a pivot that they did, considering that Hammerstone is injured at the moment?
That is a really good question, and I would not be surprised if that was part of the decision. And it's a good pivot if it is, because Something and Hammerstone are not the same build as Macklin and EY, but they can do similar things. Macklin and EY as like bigger, as like stockier dudes. Something and Hammerstone were definitely going somewhere as a tag team.
Yeah.
They'll probably bring that back. But for now, let Macklin and EY kind of, figure themselves out. Let them cook, as the kids say.
I like that. I agree with that. Okay, work, Diva. I don't know why I said that.
No. I love it. Makes me feel young and hip.
Yes.
Yes.
You're a big one.
Not like I have a cracked rib and feel like shit.
I mean, two things can be true at the same time.
That is true. Let's go to confession. Actually, Jews don't do this. Is this typically how a confession goes, where two people sit in a box and they talk at each other through this box? I thought a priest was part of this.
I gotta tell you something, brother. I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, and now I'm a devout atheist. I don't know how that works either. I don't know how that works.
This is the perfect team. You and I trying to figure out what was confession.
Name that religious.
Anyway, the point here is that Masha Slamovich and Rosemary plan on killing each other, and that's the bit.
I gotta tell you, this match, I hate it all. Oh, pal. I am looking forward to this match, but I'm not looking forward to this match. This match is going to be superb, delicious, wrestling. This match is going to be bloody. No. And then a Raven's Clockwork Orange, that's a fancy word for saying tee-hee. I don't want to see that, bro. I don't want to. I'm gonna like this. It was a good confessional though. This was shot to me very well, and I what's the word I'm looking for? I see where Rosemary is coming from, talking about the 7 years I haven't had championship gold and everything that I was, the deathmatch queen, the brutal girl. They now gave that to you. That's my line. That's my gimmick. You stole my line. And Masha's like, that's not my fault. That's your fault, pal. Don't blame me. I know this match again. I know this match is going to be superb. But I am weak. I'm SAWFT. I am soft. What did you think about this, Joel?
I liked it. By the way, the guy who says soft was in the main event tonight on Collision for the taping for Saturday. So putting it out there.
The tall one?
Yeah, the tall one.
Okay, I'm about to say, wait.
No, the other, no. SAWFT was that was.
I didn't know what. I came late to the game. I didn't know he said it too, but I know the shorter one of the two said it, and I liked him until someone was like, "Listen, I think you before you like him."
There's a lot of things that happen, but anyway, the point is here. He's Saturday, but they tape it tonight. Anyway, not important. I enjoyed this. I did. I just joke about it because I'm like, I'm a little bit lost here because I've never done confession. It's not a thing that we do. But also the way that the traditionally TV style of confession is someone sits in a booth and through a veil, you see the other person, what have you done, my child, or how can I help you? This was just two people sitting in a box with a divider in between. And they could have easily just went after each other and beat the shit out of each other. One thing I would have done differently is make it look like they were opposite each other, but like not there at the same time, so that they're talking, but they're not like one fades in, one fades out type of thing, or like digitally out in and out of the shot. You could have done something like that, but ultimately it doesn't matter because the match is what you're selling, and the story, like you said, is right there. It was Masha has become what Rosemary used to be, and Masha didn't ask to be that person. She just kind of took on the mantle, and Rosemary now has to basically figure out if she is still that person 8 years later after not being the Knockouts World Champion. It's a fine story. I understand who's going to win this match. There's no surprise, but they needed to make this a plunder match to make the other Knockouts match not hold as much weight as it already does. So it makes sense to do it this way.
I also understand from, I guess, a building storyline standpoint, both of these competitors know that they're about to kill each other, figuratively speaking. So I can sit here, I can be calm. I'm not going to get crazy with you because on Sunday, I'm going to get crazy with you. So I'm going to tell you all the things that I want to do. That's not going to matter because I feel like in this moment, they're going to let the blood do the talk. They let the blood do the talking. So not mad at it. I understand why they did that, but I do understand your point too. I think the cinematography of it would be better if it was like them facing away from each other and fading in because it kind of just looks like they're just, I don't know. I get what you're saying. I can't articulate it as well as you.
Yeah, they were sitting in a box, and they were sitting in a box with a divider. I wish they had done the same thing, box with a divider, but that they were there at different times.
Yeah. Or at least opposite, like make it look like they're not facing each other or they're not like right next to each other.
Yeah, there was a way to do it, but either way, it works for what they were doing. Northern Armory and Santana promo. I like that they brought in the footage from Prestige. For those who don't know, Sinner and Saint are also Alan Angel's guys in Prestige. Alan Angels is also the champion at Prestige Wrestling. So the match was Angels versus Santana this past weekend. Santana lost.
Second.
Yeah.
So
yeah, dick punching Alan Angels. He's the champion of Prestige Wrestling.
So Icarus and Travis Williams follow behind two bald guys.
Yeah. Two bald guys who look alike, no less.
Why? So they're following Mini Josh. I'm kidding. Alan Angels, please don't beat me up. I'm soft. I'll take the pin. But I just thought it was funny. It's like, wait a minute. So wait, you're following Alan. He's all right. Not you guys getting tricked twice. Stop.
Maybe they just think that the West Coast shrinks Josh Alexander. They put him in the dryer too long on the West Coast.
The same guy.
Hey, Josh, call me Alan. Oh, okay. I guess that's okay.
That's
hey,
fine.
Alan, why aren't you wearing your singlet and your headpiece? And you don't worry. I'm different.
That's how they do it on the West Coast.
Yeah, it's called a gimmick change. That's what we do out here. Anyway, the point is Sinner and Saint took out Santana after the match with Alan Angels, and they kind of said, it's also going to happen when you face Josh Alexander at Genesis. I like that they used the Prestige footage. I like that they did that because it's a perfect little nod to what goes on outside of TNA, and also the fact that like these people exist and that they wrestle outside of TNA. They're journeyman wrestlers. Like they're out there. Alexander says Santana won't make it to Genesis, can't make it. And so, of course, out comes Santana. The whole time, everyone in the crowd is just chanting bald ass head because that's what you do.
I love this crowd for that. Damn.
The best. And then eventually this whole thing devolves into Alexander and Santana becoming an I Quit match at Genesis, which is great. I'm a big fan. And Alexander's like, I will shake your hand if you get me to say I quit. And I'm like, all right, so he's going to shake Alexander's hand. Alexander's going to shake Santana's hand at the end of this. And then Santana says, I will be the new standard of TNA. And what did I tell you weeks ago, Cresta Star, that as Josh Alexander prepares to move along and do whatever's next in his career, this will end with Santana becoming the new guy in TNA, the new heart and soul, and Alexander will shake the hand.
I mean, he about to go to NXT.
That's what's funny about this too, is there's an entire possibility that these two will see each other again soon.
So here's the funny thing, right? I was writing this note when we first started doing the show together. I had made a joke about the North, and you're like, they're done with that. And now we've come full circle again. I love wrestling, man.
I mean, we're not there yet, but yes.
Man, no, this was great. I will say Mike Santana had a very New York moment twice this time when he said, you caught me slipping, I'll admit. And I'm like, all right, it takes a grown man to admit when you're caught slipping. And then at the end, he said, I know I got you flustered. I see that vein in your bald ass head. I'm like, Mike Santana, stop. This man's already dead. You got the crowd chanting bald ass head. And I think baldy at one point. Jesus Christ.
Bald ass head. Bald ass head.
It's an easy thing to cheer. If you give the crowd something easy to cheer, an easy gimmick, oh, they're going to do it.
It's true. I look forward to this match. Again, another really fun match incoming. I think it might be the match of the night, quite frankly, for Genesis. And then we'll, kind of see what the Santana story is. I have my feelings, and we've talked about it on this show, and I hope that it goes the way that I think it will. Jake Something defeating Laredo Kid went exactly the way you think it would, because Cresta Star, what happens to luchadors in TNA? Even
my friends in my Discord know it now, that luchadors, unfortunately, in TNA lose, unless something freaky happens, but 99% of the time, luchadors lose in TNA. Unless you're Brian Cage. He won for a minute, and no one expects him to be a luchador.
He's not wearing a mask, so it's okay. I like this match, though. Laredo Kid being the speed guy, and that's the way that he's got to outpace Jake Something. That was fun. Jake Something punching Laredo Kid out of midair was hilarious, though. They made a good sell on that commentary. They did a Canadian Destroyer spot that they had to turn into a flipping DDT because it was a little mistimed. And then, of course, there was the turnaround into Laredo Kid basically face planting.
I called it a flapjack mishap.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way of putting it. It was very strange and unexpected. And they're like, oh, he was landing on his face there. And I'm like, that wasn't very good. Something bomb from the top rope gets the win. Just a showcase match for Jake Something, and Laredo Kid looked good too.
Same, ditto, because I have one note that says nice counter on on Jake Something for a flapjack mishap.
That's all it was. The Ace Austin segment, you made reference to it earlier. I also really, really liked it. I thought it was very strong. Thought it was well shot. I thought they did a really good job of making Ace Austin relatable again, while showing Chris Bay a lot of love, talking about their companionship, their tag team work, but also shifting to make the singles run important for Ace Austin going into Sunday. What do you think of the Ace Austin segment? Did it more, or did it buy you in more to the Ace Austin singles run, or were you already there?
I'm already on the Quadzilla hype train. I'm going to be real with you. I think Ace Austin is fantastic. I do think that with the announcement today, this is a great way to introduce him to viewers who may not be necessarily know him from, or may know him from different parts of different segments of wrestling. I like that they talked about Bullet Club. I like how they're like, hey, Bullet Club was there, but then we kind of made our own thing. We did our brotherhood. We had this bond. They showed him old footage of him before he was with Chris Bay. I'm very excited for him. I think this was very beautifully shot. It was, again, in a way that's easy to understand if you're someone new to TNA and you're just getting in. And I got a hot pay-per-view on Sunday. I'm brought into the idea of him beating Moose. I think it's very possible. Don't know if it's going to happen, but I think that's the beauty of pro wrestling. If you don't know what's happening, you're brought in. So I want to believe that he could beat Moose. And the way they shot this, the way that it was presented, I believe it. He gave a hometown hero feel.
I'm a big fan of one side of this match connecting to Chris Bay and not having Moose actually use Chris Bay for heat. They started, but then they pulled it back. And I think that the best part about doing that is two things. One, you're not using Bay as cheap heat, one. And
Fair.
Two, honestly, if you're thinking about it in your predictions, like if you're trying to build Ace Austin, why would you let the Chris Bay heat, like why would you use that now when you know Moose is going to retain that title?
True. And I think it does put, like, instead of using that cheap heat that Moose would have got, it gives him that white meat baby face feel to Ace Austin, that you're going against someone who's a notorious jackass, for the lack of a better word.
Yeah, exactly. So very strong segment. I hope that they keep building stuff like that for anyone who needs that kind of rub. And this was the right thing for Ace Austin. It was good, like having him walk around outside, showing him in his home gym, showing him just conditioning, training, getting honest thoughts. It was good, right up in his face. I really enjoyed it.
I cannot stress enough that TNA does player I keep calling it wrestler profiles really well. I think this one was really fantastic. Good on you.
Hardys defeat PCO and Sammy Callahan. Really, my only notes were that PCO was hurt towards the end of this match. You can see him talking to the doctors at the bottom of the screen while the Hardys are doing their finish, and the match was fine. The Hardys are popular. The crowd loved it. But other than that, because I knew the PCO wasn't working Genesis, that gave it away to me. Also, I don't like a triple threat tag match. I don't like a triple threat anything when it's just like shoehorning in an extra tag team. So Hardys winning made sense, was what it was. What do you think of Hardys and PCO Sammy?
My first answer is I don't think. I'm kidding. But my actual answer is that like I think it was fine. Once the miscommunication happened, I was like, I guess they are losing. I thought, and this was my thought process, is somehow some shenanigans. If you're like, okay, it's not Sammy Callahan, this 23, whatever it is, take out a Hardy. Now you have these guys in this triple threat, and there's your crutch. So neither the Rascals nor the Hardys have to get pinned. You have them pin PCO or Sammy, and then they turn on each other. And that was my thought process. So them going in tonight and losing, which honestly, the 2 twists of fate on Sammy Callahan into the Swanton Bomb, man, he was also wrestling stiff earlier, so he deserved that. So like, I just wonder, what do we do now? And like you said, maybe we do have PCO come in for the live show. If Sammy is 23, have him turn on him there. But I was surprised. I was sports surprised. I was sports entertained by this, but sports surprised nonetheless.
Yeah, it was fine. Again, I couldn't get invested because I knew what was going on, but also the Hardys are a good tag team. PCO and Sammy Callahan has not been lighting my world on fire.
They're a Franken team.
They're a very Franken team, and this 23 thing just keeps shouting. Sammy Callahan beats up PCO, writes him off, and that's it. They're gonna finally kill PCO.
Just have him walk through the undead realm door and go look for Taya.
You can have him going looking for Wendy Chu at this point.
I mean, just go in there. You might come back alive. Who knows? Just go in there. You might come back as Liz still.
One last segment to talk about, and then we can talk about the TNA WWE partnership and also about Genesis this Sunday. My God, a Sunday pay-per-view. Still don't like that. Hendry and Nemeth have a chat wherein Hendry comes out and says he has to win this. I have to win this. I have to win this. I have to win this. I'm just glad that he's given up on finishing the story. I mean, completing the mission.
That would sound like something more Macklin would say anyway, just saying.
It would be. Nemeth says Hendry isn't ready for the grind of being the TNA World Champion. Sure. They show the JBL footage from Bound for Glory. Those of you who are sticklers for production like I am, Nick Nemeth was saying either JBL or John Bradshaw Layfield live to the crowd, and audio had to edit it to John Layfield.
Mm-hmm.
That felt awkward to me, but I kept noticing it because it happened twice in the span of one sentence, and I was like, yeah, okay. Nemeth said he didn't know JBL laid out Hendry at Bound for Glory when it happened. Hendry gets cut off by Ryan Nemeth as he's about to ask another question. Ryan comes out and does, my big brother, and then gets a standing ovation set up on him. Nick Nemeth super kicks Joe Hendry. Ryan Nemeth says, big brother. And Nick's like, shut the fuck up. And then they walk to the back, and that's the end of the show. Oh, and then also Jordan Grace signed a contract, and so did her opponent for Sunday. And then they beat each other up. There you go.
Yes. Joe Hendry and Nick Nemeth was fine. I'm glad that Nick Nemeth addressed the JBL controversy finally, because that was the big question in everyone's mind. Like, you can't keep ignoring this. What are we doing with it? However, I feel like it kind of answered a little bit of something, nothing. You know what I mean? Where I got, yeah, you said you're not working with him. And before you could really finish your thought, here comes your brother, who, Ryan Nemeth, you are playing the hell out of this character because God bless you. You are so annoying. Oh my God. That little, my big brother, yo, bro, you know what you're doing and is doing it to me. So good on him for that. It makes me believe now that JBL and his brother are working together, but he laid him out to make it pump fake. You know what I mean? I have more questions. I'm still sports confused. I don't know what we're doing here. But I guess the chickens is coming home to roost on Sunday. I feel like at Sunday, something has got to give. Because I do kind of agree with Joe Hendry saying that he's got to win. Because if he doesn't, it kind of feels like, what are we doing here? How, like, to quote Joe Pro, how many times you gonna honey dick us? What are we doing here? And also, yeah, Jordan Gray signed the contract and beat somebody up.
Hooray. Unfortunately, when it comes to go home math, that other person's probably going to win. So
disgusting. I thought the same thing too.
Yeah, it is what it is. That's the other thing about the Spitfire thing. People were like, "Oh, the Elegances are celebrating early."
No,
I was like, who stood tall by the end of that segment?
They're saying tall now.
Who stood tall at the end of the Hendry Nemeth segment? Yeah,
I don't know.
They cannot do this a third time. You hit a point where it's too much. Backstage, for a second, Nemeth signed an extension on his contract. So he was hard to kill. That was the 1-year deal. The Trinity deal, as we like to call it. The we've got enough money to throw at one big free agent to give us the big rub for the year. And that was Nick Nemeth for the year when Trinity was leaving to go back to WWE. He extended for the time, and I assume that's going to be for the next, I don't know, but if I had to guess, he'll do the pay-per-view, maybe do the live show. And if he does the February live show and tapings as well, then that keeps him on for another little bit. So, all right. You can't have Hendry lose again.
Hendry wins because Kazarian cashes in. So I feel like that's some type of.
So this is it. So this is okay. Since we're here, I will give you my feelings towards this.
Okay.
Hendry wins. Kazarian eventually cashes in, but it's not the same day. They're not doing that. They're going to give Joe Hendry the thank you for waiting, the thank you for improving with us type of title reign. The we're going to give it to you for 4 months, and then at Rebellion you'll have a great match, you'll win, and then Frankie Kazarian will cash in on you. Frankie
How long has he got this damn trophy for?
Yeah, I think it's up to a year, but call your shot is call your shot. Kazarian walking into UBS at Slammiversary with that title to go up against Mike Santana, to me, that's the play. Because you want the guy everybody hates going up against the home city boy that everybody loves.
And they would definitely hate Frankie Kazarian for taking it off of Joe Hendry.
Exactly. So the heat is there. And if you really want to get weird with it, you set it up that it's going to be Hendry and Santana at UBS, and then Frankie the last second screws the main event. But you can't do that. The thing is, you could do that if it didn't matter that the tickets were sold. Put it like that. Because if fans really wanted to see those two fight and you take that away at the last minute, can't do that. But I think you do tease Hendry and Santana, but Kazarian does win the title from Hendry. And that'll be that. And again, I like Joe Hendry. I like the character. We talk about it frequently. I've never seen Joe Hendry as like the going 20 minutes in an epic main event style wrestler. Can he be there? Yes, he can, but he's never been that guy to me. Whereas the last few champions have proven that they are that type of person. So Hendry will be given the title. He'll do really well. He'll come out at the first live Impact and say, I'm going to be the first sitting TNA world champion to enter the Royal Rumble. And that'll be a big deal. JBL will be on Raw on the 20th. And they'll do something with Nemeth, maybe as a crossover, but probably not. I don't know what the JBL situation is. That's going to hopefully come to a head at this show, and then maybe cross over to Monday Night Raw the next night because they're in Dallas and it's, they're close to each other.
I guess as a Joe Hendry fan, I feel like he deserves a little longer reign than thank you, fine, sir. I understand. I think your logic and your reasoning makes sense the way you broke it down. It's just, I guess, a little frustrating because, yeah, you had Nemeth come in, and now you got Santana back, and Cass, and Moose. However, I will say that the strength of TNA is that they've got a strong main event scene, but it's also to the detriment because someone like Joe Hendry, like he's been cooled off just a touch. So I think, again, the time is now, but I don't know how we get there. And I low-key don't trust that we get there because I do feel like a lot more people feel like Joe Hendry is not the guy who can go 20 minutes, or he can go eventually, but now is not the time. I think given the opportunity, given a real serious match with someone real serious, I think Joe Hendry could absolutely rise to the occasion. I just don't know how we get there. And it kind of sucks that now that Max Santana is here, who absolutely is deserving of the world title, is here, it's going to be real rough. And like you said, you can't really do Joe Hendry versus Santana because that'll be fun. But who's going to cheer for who? The crowd is going to be split, or worst case scenario, they turn on somebody.
And I'm going to point out, no one's mentioned this yet in the chat, but I'm sure someone who's listening is going to say, well, how are you going to fill UBS Arena with Frankie Kazarian versus Mike Santana? Well, that's the beauty of TNA, is that they are an ensemble cast. And I can almost guarantee you that the Hardys will have some sort of car crash tag team match that will absolutely bring people in the doors. And that probably won't be the main event, but that Santana moment, for those who know where he's from and what he's done, that's a big moment for a lot of people. I think that's where you do it. I originally talked about doing it at Genesis, and then when they gave Hendry the #1 contendership, it's like, okay, I see this. This makes sense. Hendry having the title for 4 months is not a bad title reign. It's his first. It's his first world championship. Nobody remembers you for your first world title. That's the thing. They'll remember the moment, but like the reign itself, it'll be forgotten by the time he shows up in NXT full time.
That's fair. It's also too, like, what do we do afterwards with him? He wins it, maybe have a rubber match with Nick Nemeth, and then you go on from there. I hope that there's a way for him to capitalize. Because I do feel a little slighted still that they didn't put the title on him in the first place. And I agree with you. You can't keep doing this to us. You can't keep getting away with this, TNA.
Yeah, and I think that it would be in bad faith to do something like that. So now becomes the bigger conversation that, and we'll do a full Genesis preview in a minute. WWE and TNA announced that their partnership is solidified. It's now a multi-year partnership. What a lot of folks hopefully have noticed was that it is to work with NXT. It's not to work with WWE. It is to work exclusively with the talent, just like the way it started, where your Jordan Graces, your Joe Hendrys, your Frankie Kazarians go over to NXT. On the TNA side, you're going to see your Saul Rukas, your Wendy Chus, your Brinley Reeses, you're going to see Nathan Frazier, not Nathan Frazier. Yeah, it was Nathan. No, Riley Osborne. You'll see people like that coming around, and that's not a bad thing. It's a developmental thing because that's what we're working on. TNA does not have the leverage that WWE does in this particular case. That doesn't mean that it won't be interesting, and that doesn't mean that it won't be fun or that it could be a different program after even a year. But I hope that people keep their expectations in check when it comes to what this could mean. I think we'll see certain TNA stars in the Royal Rumble. I think Vengeance Day will have a big TNA presence, especially because now NXT is going to be featured at Genesis, which kind of happened out of nowhere. You could see some sort of, warfare story building up, but I don't think the titles are going to cross over too much. That's kind of where I'm at with that. What do you think of this when you heard about the partnership?
I'm not mad about it. If it is what it was, I'm excited for the exposure for both ends. The idea of the Royal Rumble, whether it's Joe Hendry, Josh Alexander, I saw someone earlier call him Canadian Kurt Angle, and I cried. I wouldn't be mad at it. I'm not upset at it. I think that TNA is a wonderful product. I think that sometimes the jokes are deservedly so, but overall, the performance there are overall just really great athletes, really great wrestlers, professional wrestlers. So I want to be optimistic. I'm going on the era of last time it didn't feel like whatever, but it'll always feel like for exposure, we want the best of your best, and you're going to help train our kids. And hey, listen, it is what it is. I think everyone wrestling different styles makes them more well-rounded. And there might be a situation or a path where TNA gets a better TV deal, more in homes, where you guys are seeing more TNA stuff. There's a way for it. TNA does have a legacy with your Kurt Angles and your Samoa Joes and a lot of AJ Styles, a lot of people who are in WWE or in WWE's recent purview, you know what I mean? So I think this is a good thing. I hope for the best, but it'll always feel in a little bit of my heart, like 2%, this is a tryout for those at the top of the TNA card to go to NXT or to be like, well, maybe not NXT. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. This is something that I kind of joked about, was that WWE could get a finder's, or TNA could get a finder's fee for the TNA stars that they send over from TNA to NXT. People have shot that down to me, but at the same time, it's like, doesn't mean they can't happen. So I, again, cautiously optimistic. It's in TNA's best interest to have this type of deal. I do hope that it gives a lot of talent an opportunity to see the PC and the way that WWE does things, because if that's where people want to land, then you have access to some of that stuff. From the production side, God, do I hope that WWE allows TNA, or at least gives TNA the opportunity to upgrade their production. I would like that very much, but I don't know if that's part of an ongoing conversation or just you do your thing, we'll do ours, and you get talent in exchange.
I think there's a way down the line, especially if they end up doing some sort of okay, you said about the belts not changing hand. If there was ever a situation where the TNA belt, wow, I'm having a stroke in 4K. If there was a way where the TNA belt went over to WWE or vice versa, I could see the production value going higher just to market it in a better light. But I do think that's possible years down the line, depending on how things do. The first one was a trial run, and it obviously did so well, they decided to make it a multi-year run. There's absolutely a chance where the North American Championship or the X Division would be a cold day in hell. Maybe the digital media, I don't know. But it's possible.
Ryan Lambert's in the chat. He's usually in our in the Weeds chat as well. Yes, will TNA have some sort of access to the PC? And this was something that Joe Hendry had mentioned that he did have access to when he was in between like doing TNA and NXT appearances. This is something that I hope is, again, part of the deal. It's not officially out there, but it is something that I'm sure we'll ask about, because it should be offered when they're in the vicinity, but also it's got to be planned ahead. It's one of those, you can't just walk in and train. You probably have to, get yourself set up.
No, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Like if you guys are in the Florida area and you guys have time, just email us ahead of time and let us know who's going to be there. I think that would be fair, because if it's one hand washes the other, I think if everyone, not so much just training in a certain style, but if everyone is training with everybody and you get to know different people's styles, it makes professional wrestling as a whole better.
And again, remember that as of right now, TNA is a product that tapes twice a month. They are not a busy out there weekly televised show. The show is televised weekly, but the show is taped. Doing a live show every once in a while is also good, but other than, a plus show or a pay-per-view, the only other time that they're really doing anything is a TV taping the next day, or a weekend TV taping to get from one pay-per-view to the next on a 5-week cycle.
Not mad at that. Like, I feel like TNA is such a good cycle if you're someone who still picks up indie bookings, and TNA's always been really good about that. So
yeah, so that's kind of where that partnership is at right now. Just Ricardo sent a super chat saying, watching on delay. Hi guys, by the time you get this, we will have been long off the air, but it's good to see you. Thanks, Ricardo. Appreciate
probably
it. Yeah. So let's talk real quick. Genesis is this Sunday. We will have a post show, myself, Cresta Star, and of course Steven Jensen, who hosts the Weekender podcast on FightfulSelect.com. We got your $6. Is that what we call it now? Either way, the best $6 in the business. Go subscribe. So much news, so much content. Jensen will join us as well. Let's run down this card and give me your thoughts, shall we?
Yes, sir.
On the pre-show, Frankie Kazarian takes on Leon Slater.
Honestly, Leon Slater needs to beat this old man up.
Fine with it. There's two ways of thought. Leon Slater wins, moves on. Frankie Kazarian then feels like he needs to make an impact, no pun intended, and then cashes in his call your shot that night. And then we have everything I said completely out the window and I'm upset. Or Frankie Kazarian gets the win. Leon Slater says, oh, maybe I should work with this guy who's trying to make me get to my next best level. Maybe that's the beginning of a story there. So I see one of those two options. Or the match just happens and then Later on, Frankie teases a cash in, but JBL stops him again.
I agree with that. And I can see Frankie saying, oh, I was just focused on the match later on. And this little guy, I can see Kaz making excuses.
Yeah, exactly. For the X Division Championship, Moose defends against Ace Austin. Ace has been very vocal about his singles run and Chris Bay being in support of this. And of course, Moose is going to debut a new X Division Championship fit for him. So it'll be really friggin' ugly.
See, as a fan of wrestling, if a champion is debuting a new title, that often means they're gonna win. It would be funny and hilarious if they debut a new title and then he loses. But I don't think that's what's gonna happen. And it kind of sucks because I feel like the way that they've built Ace Austin, I'm fully bought into it. But how you gonna introduce a belt just for him to, I guess. I want Ace Austin to win, but my brain says the Moose is loose.
Just wasting company resources. Be very, very on brand.
I mean, honestly, sometimes I want to cause the most chaos as I can.
I think Moose wins, and we haven't seen the end of Ace Austin in the X Division.
No, I agree. I think there's a way back, but just the way that TNA does a good job at building up wrestlers with their wrestler profile, and damn it, not to know Moose.
The other system members, Edward Edwards and Brian Myers, take on Eric Young and Steve Macklin. I'm personally of the belief that this will be Young and Macklin getting the win, and we start moving forward with their tag team push.
I agree with that 1,000%, even with interference from JDC.
Oh, that's right, that guy. And your favorite will be there too.
Do you want to know something?
She will want to know something. I hope she does it in a Texas accent.
Well, yeehaw. Do you want to know something, y'all?
Perfect.
I'm sorry.
No, it's great. Spitfire takes on the Elegance for the Tag Team Knockouts Championship. Congratulations to the Elegance.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're not wrong. I wish you were.
It's okay. They'll have plenty to do for Threat and Luna after this.
Oh, hell yeah, brother.
It'll be fine. What else is on this card? Hardys take on the Rascals for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. I think this will be a really, really fun match. I think this is one of those two guys who looked up to the Hardys going up. It's a respect match. And again, Trey and Wentz are very special athletes, and the Hardys are the Hardys. So I look forward to this, but I expect the Hardys to retain their tag titles.
I 1,000% agree. It's one of those situations where I've taught you everything I know, not all I know, and the Hardys are going to outsmart the Rascals with their wildly veteran tactics.
The Rams will win again. I don't remember what it stands for anymore. Righteous something. Jeff Hardy did it. He coined it.
Oh, righteous and marvelous.
Yeah, now I got to look at this up. Hold on. What are we? January 2nd? There we go.
Ugh, my brain.
I know, my brain too. This is so stupid. Righteous Angelic Magnificent Souls. I had to look this up when I did the post show. Not the post show. I did the Genesis pre-show on True Heel Heat with SP3, and I had to look that up too. The Rams, not the football team.
I thought this was a football reference, and the fact that it's this thing and I totally forgot about it makes me, one, upset, but also two, wish I could go back to a time where I forgot about it.
Yeah, it's from 2 weeks ago, so who knows? What else is on this show? Masha Slamovich versus Rosemary for the Knockouts World Championship. It's a Clockhouse Orange House of Fun match. First question, will Raven be there? And if he's not, what the hell's wrong with this company?
Raven will be there, and I will have to watch this, and Masha's going to win, but they're going to need a new mat.
Yeah, they'll probably change the mat after that match.
Disgusting.
Jordan Grace has her final match for TNA on pay-per-view. Unfortunately, she's going to lose.
I'm sorry, I was summoning Cthulhu. Yeah. Alakadoo, bibbity bobbity, nope.
Josh Alexander and Mike Santana fight in an I Quit match. I am very much looking forward to this one. Mike Santana, to me, gets the win. Josh Alexander shakes his hand and says, "You are now the heart and soul of TNA wrestling. You are the standard. To you, I bequeath Sinner and Saint. To which Sinner and Saint look at each other and they're just like, wait, what? And now they belong to Mike Santana.
I lost you guys in the divorce.
Honestly, I quit match.
I don't want to see this match either. I have a feeling this is gonna get bloody too, and I don't like that. But also, Mike Santana is gonna win, and Sinner and Saint's gonna be like, what the? They jump Josh Alexander, never to be seen again. They jump him, throw him in the undead realm, and say, "Come back when you find Taya, nerd."
I mean, Josh is gonna be at the tapings the next night, so unless they write him off that night.
Let me have my kayfabe moment.
He's got a month left on his deal. Come on. Let them both. They both kick each other in the dick and quit at the same time.
Both men just pass out from the pain because of family jewels. Honestly, I love a good dick punch in TNA. Dick punch and face biting, only in TNA. Let's go.
There'll be plenty of that in the main event.
That's not the main event? Oh, yeah, you're right.
Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry for the TNA World Championship. It's time, baby. No more honey dicking, more like honey kicking. Joe Hendry's got to win this thing.
I believe in Joe Hendry. Clap, clap. I need to find my shiniest, most ceruleanest shirt and show up on Sunday as Joe Hendry. I think I'll make my hair blonde for that moment, for that exact moment.
Yeah, he's going to have a new dye job by then.
Hell yeah. Listen, it grows out.
Wouldn't know. My hair's naturally the color as it is.
I go to the store, I look at it, and I Photoshop it onto my head. I'm actually Sean Ross Sapp, so.
Oh, yeah. And a month ago, it was Jay Chung's last night on the show. So there's that. I still don't know who the ring announcer is. I still expect it to be Christy Hemme, and everyone's going to be like, oh, it's going to see Christy. And I'm going to be like, all right, Christy's back.
Call me TNA. I could ring announce. I can read. I've notoriously said on this show that I don't read, and not me trying to convince somebody that I read.
God, have you thought about running for president?
I mean, I've got less qualifications than this. No, I have more qualifications than this guy. I mean, I can do it. You know what? First order of business, healthcare for all wrestlers, okay? She's revolutionary.
Not really. There was a guy who tried that once. It didn't really go over well.
I mean, we both got the one earring thing going on.
It is true. It is true. We'll be back Sunday for the TNA Genesis post show. Cresta, myself, and Steven Jensen once again. Check out the Fightful Awards also on Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk so much on this post show. It's going to be a busy one. So, Cresta, what else you got going on?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure being here with you. You're fantastic. So upcoming this Saturday, I'm going to be live with Iridian and, Rick. His name, I was about to say Jake something. I don't know why. Rick something. Anyway, I'll be live for the Collision post show here on Fightful. Sunday, I will be live with Joel Pearl and Steven Jensen for the Genesis post show. And every Wednesday, you can catch me on my personal channel, twitch.tv, because TikTok is not going to be in the USA for much longer, baby. So you can catch me over on twitch.tv/CrestaStar. Every Wednesday, we watch AEW Dynamite together, and I can't wait to get to know you. You can follow me on all forms of social media, even Blue Sky, Cresta Star, CRESTA, STARR, 2 R's because I'm a pirate. I love you. I respect you. Your butt looks nice. I hope you find $20 on the floor. Joel Pearl, where can the people find you and what you got going on?
One of these days, I'm going to actually complete the bit where I find a $20 bill on the floor of my place. And
I'm going to tell you, your butt looks nice.
Thank you. I mean, I'm married, but thank you.
You're well. Her butt looks nice too. How about that? Equality.
She would appreciate that. She would very much appreciate that. I'm going to go tell her after this. She's probably asleep. Anyway, I am Joel Pearl. I go in the weeds every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over on our sister channel, Fightful Overbooked. Go to FightfulOverbooked.com. Get some more information. 10 a.m. Eastern is when we do it, and we go about 2 hours. It's a morning show. It's exactly what you think it's going to be, and then some. Except for that one guy one time who was like, oh, Jeremy's bashing Bluey. That's enough for me. I'm never watching the show again. I was like, that's what did it? We made fun of Bluey, and that was your turn off points?
Not the dog.
It was the dog. I don't know what happened there. It was very strange. We're on Sunday here on the main channel talking TNA Genesis. And then next Thursday's show is also going to be a special one because TNA Live Impact will have aired. So I'm sure that we'll have an influx of people who maybe watch the show as well. I hope so. Hopefully we'll be talking about Joe Hendry declaring for the Royal Rumble, Jordan Grace maybe doing the same, and Masha Slamovich getting a new opponent in Cora Jade. Who knows? We'll talk about that and plenty more Sunday and then next Thursday. But for Cresta Star, I am at Joel Pearl or thejoelpearl.com over on the Blue Sky. Go find me there, would you? That's where I want to talk to you. That's where I want to be with you. Like Mr. Big said. That the song was called To Be With You. Go watch it. Drop a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, do the whole thing. Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Bye.